Say stuff.
Um, well, you, and we're back, and maybe this will make it onto the internets one day.
Well, certainly not this part. Certainly not all this foolishness. That won't be on there. Oh. Gabe? Gabe, are you there?
Hello.
Hey, what year is it?
It's 2025, man.
I guess more importantly, what magic set is this? Aetherdrift?
Welcome to Aetherdrift,
Yeah,
the land of
we're going
artifacts.
to V. Wait. Please tell me I put out that last review. What was it,
I
Duskborn?
can't say that you did, unfortunately.
Oh, that
Yeah,
set was so
we,
good
we
too.
I don't know that people are so hyped about this one, but they maybe should be because we had unexpected bangers with this last set.
Well, all right. I mean, Dustborn was amazing, so maybe we can follow it up. Should we just get started with it then?
Let's do it, man.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Atmos video. We're back in 2025 with Aetherdrift. We got Gabe here. Quick recap, Mango moved away. It's a new year, and what we're going to do, we're coming in more deranged. We're coming in more unfiltered. We got the black logo, upgraded to the black logo. That's our mood in 2025. We're coming in hot with Aetherdrift, burning rubber, this direction. There we go, into the scenes. Not cutting it out, because that's how unfiltered.
Oh, no, I'm gonna do the same thing.
Yeah. So
yeah. If maybe we could also do the Goku. No, you have to go down.
what do you do?
We can do
I don't know Goku.
fusion. Ah.
I don't know a Dragon Ball Z kid. I don't know a Dragon Ball Z kid.
Fair.
Oh, sorry.
Neither am I, but I'm still a nerd.
Super nerd. All right. So you're excited about Aetherdrift?
Very
Dust.
excited. Big
As we.
car guy here.
Oh yeah.
So
You really like
I'm
cars.
excited to go fast and go vroom.
So I was
Max
skeptical.
speed.
I was skeptical people were going to be into Duskmorn, but the horror theme was real, and the limited was one of the best I have ever played, and I do not say that lightly. Very up my own ass about limited, as if you've seen these videos, you are well acquainted. So Gabe is really excited.
Yeah, this set's amazing. Lots of fast cars, lots of artifacts. So I'm really excited for the Need for Speed Magic set.
Vehicles. Yeah, and I think part of it's probably because right when you started playing with Kamigawa, Neon Dynasty, right?
Yeah.
There was vehicles in it, and you just like that
there's
mechanic.
A lot of vehicles.
Yeah, there's a lot of vehicles.
Well,
You wanted to build that grease tank deck.
I always thought it could be. Yeah, I always thought it could be better, and maybe they think so too, because they're certainly pushing it again.
We did get Reckoner Bankbuster out of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Like that was a card that was a mainstay.
Which had to be banned.
It got banned?
I'm almost 100% sure it was banned.
Oh yeah, you might be right. It was good. It was good. So we did at least get one
in fact, I will I'll put blood on the line.
Oh, your blood. Not your reputation, just banned. Straight blood.
yeah.
All right. So yeah, typically we do a limited focus. We did our commons and uncommons already. We ate the vegetables. Yep. It was interesting. Some of it made sense. Some of it
it's a weird set.
Didn't. Yeah, there was kind of a lack of payoffs we noticed. So maybe we theorized maybe a lot of the payoffs are at the rare and legendary or mythic level, which would make sense.
Yep.
So we will be having more fun here talking about these cards because obviously they're the rares and mythics. We'll still be talking about them on the limited scale because that'll be the focus. But we'll mention like Commander, Standard, which we're excited to get into. Standard. That's also the year of 2025.
Yes, we will be doing Standard this year. We're going to Magic on Vegas, baby.
Woo!
We're doing it.
Is that actually Standard? Like, is that the main format of it? The main competition?
We'll have to see. I'm sure they're playing Standard there.
Yeah. Well, I'll play whatever the main tournament is.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, I'm going to start us off for a change with this card that I don't even want to say. So now to start us off with the actually correct card, when you sort them by set number, is me with Basri, Tomorrow's Champion, for 1 white mana. It is a 2/1 legendary creature, Human Knight. Once again, Savannah Lions, eat your heart out, because I have only upside from here, I'm sure. I pay 1 and a white and exert, which means it does not untap during your next untap step. They really are just At the rare and mythic level, they'll just throw in a mechanic for fun. That's not part of a set.
Yeah.
Create a 1/1 white cat creature token with lifelink. So you can do that once every other turn. And you can cycle this for 2 and a white. And when you cycle it, cats you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn.
Weird.
So they're like kind of trying to make this a commander card with the cycling, because hey, people like cat decks, right? Well, you know, we just sold you a cats and dogs deck, so you need this.
Yeah.
But generally, like, obviously this is fine. I think you're really just using it to
this
crank
is just
out.
a good card.
You're just using it to crank out the 1/1s, I think, primarily. Like, maybe you attack the first time, and the next time, because like if you just even a 1/1 white a 1/1 lifelink creature every other turn is very hard to die through.
Yeah,
it's gonna make the game go for forever. Blockers. Yeah, game's gonna go forever. So weirdly, like, the ability is very not aggressive in that sense. It's more control-y because it's also like hurting your curve. You are going wide, so if you're playing this, I don't think you're really aggressive, or if you are, then you're just playing it for being a 2/1. Otherwise, you're playing like go wide, mid range, or control with this in limited.
Yeah.
And I would say it's like a B.
Yeah, I'd call it a B.
B minus, something like that. Every other turn is like,
it's just a good card.
Not amazing. All right, your go.
Bulwark Ox. 1 and white for a creature Oxmount. It's a 2/2. Whenever this creature attacks while saddled, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Sacrifice this creature so any target creature you can put it on. All right, sacrifice this creature. Creatures you control with counters on them gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn.
Interesting.
Weird.
So this normally
great with the little possum.
Yeah. So normally that thing needs to be settled too.
Yeah, I'm saying turn 1 playing the possum and then just saddling
this. Well, so like the first time you saddle this, you almost certainly want it to target itself, right? Like that's where this doesn't quite work together, because if this attacks and doesn't put a counter on itself, it's going to die unless you have a combat trick.
Right.
So I guess that's actually kind of the dream scenario, right? Remember like that white combat trick that gives it +2/+2 or whatever? Yeah. Like you just attack with this. Like they go first, right? So they 3-drop their 3/3. You have this and another creature. You saddle this, attack, pump the other creature. And then when they block this, you use a trick. Yeah. You trick it the first time. So it's definitely better with tricks. It's very good if you're going first and they miss their 2-drop. That's devastating for them.
Oh my god, yeah.
But yeah, I guess I don't know, how good the sacrifice thing is, unless you have other ways to put counters on.
Yeah, if you've got other 1/1 counter things going on, this obviously becomes better, but still.
Yeah, still, it seems fine. I still just think it's like
That's fine.
A B- though, right?
Yeah, I think it's a B- just because it's awkward that
B
this is not what you want to be putting counters on.
It could run away with the game, just like any of these, right? If you're going first, your opponent has no interaction. Good luck.
Yeah, I just feel like whenever I've played with these cards, if I really do not have support for them, they just feel okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to saddle it.
Gotta start the ball rolling.
Yeah, like I'd be more interested in playing that, specifically that white combat trick with a card like this. Ooh, I get some amazing art.
Yeah.
Guardian Sunmare, 3 white for a creature horse mounted rare. It's a 5/5 with Ward 2. So 5/5 for 5 Ward 2. Don't hate that. Whenever this creature attacks while saddled, and saddling is 4, which I do hate, search your library for a non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less and put it onto the battlefield. Yeah, I assumed it was something broken for saddle 4.
Yeah.
I think we actually did discuss. I think we did actually discuss this. Like if this could maybe see play in standard or something. It's probably too expensive, but I mean, like fetching something like an Oblivion Ring,
pretty good.
Seems good. Was the blue enchantment 3 mana or 4 mana? The one that taps stuff down. I don't remember.
I wish this had haste.
Like because the reason like the blue enchantment I feel like matters a lot because this is an attack trigger. So if you can get removal with it, like like enchantments that effectively remove a creature, like this
Yeah.
is cracked, right? Because then it's much less likely to
Right,
die.
right.
So then you're gonna do it again and like maybe get a creature the second time. Um,
Just
so
any number of things.
yeah, I'd have to go back and check that. Obviously, there's that black artifact. That's the
Yeah.
-2/-2
Removal.
thing. Yeah, that would work. So I would go see like how much enchantment or artifact removal there is that would work with this. And maybe even look to be this colors like if I get this late or early pick. Um, yeah, I think this is this. So what would we rate a 5/5 War 2 for 5? Not that highly, right? Like that would be like
Not that
a
highly.
B minus probably,
Yeah.
maybe a C plus. Probably a B minus. Seems pretty good. I mean, this ability is
Yeah.
expensive.
This ability is
Saddle
expensive.
Saddle
But I
4.
mean,
It's just a tutor for
yeah,
something that costs
this
30
is
or
just
less.
hard.
I think it's probably like a B to B plus. Like
Yeah, it's a B to B
all in.
plus. It just
All
you
in.
gotta play around being able to do the thing.
Yeah, like all these things have like floors that are like pretty mid for rares, but then you're like
Right, right.
because I could see some people
Yeah, otherwise it's like just winning you the game.
yeah, like people watching this video, some people are gonna be like, "What are you talking about? You tutor every turn for a," and other people are gonna be like, "It's a 5/5 with no evasion." Like, come on, what are you doing here? F, move on.
Yeah, yeah. It has yeah, Ward too.
It's a B to B plus. That's all
Oh,
it is.
this card.
Is he right?
Perilous Snare. 2 and a white for an artifact. Starts your engine.
This is
When this
what you
artifact
fetch.
enters, Oblivion Ring. And
Yeah.
once you get max speed, you can just tap this to put a 1/1 counter on a creature or vehicle once each turn for free.
Comment on this video if someone
Yeah,
Guardian Sunmares a Perilous Snare into play. And
that would be so
I will
oppressive.
give you maximum complaint equity. Yeah, so this is
Ugh.
obviously just very good. This is like a B to B. This is a B to B
Yeah,
plus.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
the starting your
This
engines
is I think
part,
I think this is a B plus.
it's probably a B plus. Like the starting your engines part is like pretty mid. I just don't know how good white will be at getting max speed. But like this is an amazing aggressive card. I mean,
I
this
think with
card helps you get
I think
max
with
speed.
red it'll be good.
I mean, this card by
Yeah,
itself helps you get max speed because it's removal.
yeah, yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah, obviously the start to your engines on a 3-drop is entirely mid. They just have to include it in everything for some reason. I get the first mythic. Salvation
Oh yeah,
Engine. 4 and a white for an artifact vehicle. 6/10. I love this art. I love this art a lot. Other
yeah. It has
artifact
good alt arts too.
sick. Other artifact creatures you control gain +2/+2. When this vehicle attacks, return up to one target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And it crews for 6. That is a large crewing. For something that's already kind of expensive, but that's because the status effect is all other artifact creatures you control gain +2/+2, which is a hell of a status effect. It'd be sick crewing this for free, and it gets any
I
artifact.
mean, I will say, I think if in a heavy artifact slash vehicle deck, this is going to be hilariously brutal. Just because you just get +2/+2 to theoretically your entire board or most of it
Yeah,
statically.
yeah, I'd be yeah. You so like vehicle heavy decks obviously would be more interested in this. But if that's all this was, so if there was just a 5 cost artifact that gave other artifact creatures you control +2/+2 for 5, I would grade that a C, like a build around B minus, I guess maybe. I
We've
mean,
seen the
it does
things
make
that will
one
crew
sort of
something like
difference.
once a turn too.
Well, again,
Yeah,
let's
that's what I'm
just
saying.
evaluate this as the artifact. Let's just just not as a vehicle, just as an artifact. What would you grade it? Like a build around B minus? Or
Yeah, yeah, a build around B minus, maybe even lower.
well, yeah,
If it was, I mean, if it is just a +2/+2 artifact for 5 to other artifacts, then yeah,
you I would say it's like a
it's a
C.
C.
I would say it's a C in just like an average deck, but a deck that is almost entirely vehicles and artifact creatures. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
it's probably like
which
a
you'll be
B
able to do.
minus, maybe even a B. Yeah, and that's
Like
probably
I think
not
this is gonna
unreasonable.
shine in Azorius with like that affinity flying 3/4. You know, like
Yeah,
they're
anything
just
that
gonna
make
go so hard with that.
well, yeah, this generally goes very well with blue because there are several things that made Thopters. Thopters are like
Yeah.
the best target for that ability because they fly as
There's
well.
that other five drop vehicle that is like a 4/5 or a five
Yeah,
six
and
and makes a
it's
one
a
one.
5/4. Yeah, it's a 5/4. Okay, so now how likely is this to ever attack? I think the answer
I
is
mean, I think with +2/+2 to
yeah.
everything, likely.
That's the thing, right? Is that it actually enables its own crew. Like if the crew was actually less than that, it'd be pretty pedantic because all that means is 2/1/1s at this point. You know,
Or,
two
or
Thopters
a
for the
one
crew.
one and a pilot, like,
Yeah, or a
and
artifact
there
pilot
are
and a
artifact
pilot.
pilots. Yeah, I think that
I don't think
artifact
is there an
pilot.
artifact pilot? That's kind of funny.
No, it's that 0/4 for 2.
Oh, that can crew with
That
his butt.
yes,
That would single
this cruise
handedly
it by
crew
itself.
this. Crew it by itself. It'd be a
And
two
yeah,
six.
yeah,
I did really like that card. We've again spent too much time on this, but I feel like we've really broken it down. And
yeah. These are the facts.
I'm gonna give it a B plus. But
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a
but
build around B plus.
a no, I'm gonna say a yeah. So what was I saying when I said B plus? Because I was about to say build around A just to be like outrageous.
Oh well,
But
you're dumb.
I think there's a chance it is a build around A
Maybe.
because
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
all
And
you
like,
need
if basically all you are putting on the battlefield is artifacts,
yeah
then yes, this
like
is nuts.
extreme build around A, like
Yeah,
medium
yeah, yeah,
build
yeah,
around
yeah,
B
yeah, yeah.
plus. If you really get there with artifacts, this thing is actually
Yeah.
nuts. Because once I said all
Oh,
you
for
need is
sure.
2/1/1s to crew this once, and then God forbid you do have another artifact creature in your graveyard,
Yeah,
because it's gonna be big as hell. Like it's the 5/4 or
yeah,
whatever, you
yeah.
know. Um, yeah, neat
What
card.
if you have another one of these that you milled?
Yeah, it's not legendary. Yikes. Yeah, came around on it. Came around on it. All right, you're good.
Sky Seer's Chariot, 1 and a white for an artifact vehicle. It's a flying 3/3, and as this vehicle enters, choose a non-land card name. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name cost 2 more to activate. Crew 2. Weird.
Is crewing an activated ability? I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know.
Would you have to pay 2 mana to crew? I'm actually going to briefly search this. Crew is an activated ability. So
Oh
yes,
boy.
any instance of crewing would cost 2 mana as well as tapping. Any individual instance of crewing. Interesting. So, okay, let's just
But is
ignore it.
everyone getting taxed by this?
Let's break it down how we do. Let's eliminate all text other than just it being the vehicle. So it is a 2 mana 3/3 flying crew 2. How good is that? C plus? B minus? C plus?
Yeah, it's a C, it's a C plus.
Yeah, a 3/3 flyer on turn 2 is fast, right? Because remember, it's vehicles also give
But
like
there's not
pseudo
that many
haste.
things that are crewing it on.
Well, it's pseudo haste. It's your 3 drop
Well,
has
I
to be
guess
able to
turn
crew it.
3.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
your
yeah,
3 drop
yeah,
wasn't
yeah, yeah,
attacking
yeah.
anyway, so it's like pseudo haste for your three
Right.
drop. But also with evasion is kind of the way to think about some of these.
Yeah.
That's generally
Yeah.
the way to think about fly or vehicles, as long as you don't have too many of them in play, and then they're a hindrance. Um,
Yeah.
So yeah, your 3-drop cruises. Yeah, I would say that this is probably pretty close to a B minus in limited, just because that's a beater. Um,
Yeah, because you could just choose the name of whatever good card they have that's activatable on the
well,
battlefield.
yeah, I was just even without the ability. I was saying this is like a C plus, even without the ability.
Yeah. No, so what I'm
A B
saying is
minus.
I agree that it's a B minus probably.
Yeah, but like on turn, but that's the thing is you play this on turn 2, they might not have anything. Like, what are even the chances they have something in play with an activated ability? If you're going first, almost zero. Um, if you're going second,
I mean,
maybe.
we've seen a lot of start your engines 1 and 2 drop enchantments in multiple colors.
Yeah, but start. It's not going to start your engines. That's a triggered ability. It's not activated.
No, but they can't. But they all of them had further activated abilities.
Sure, maybe. Um,
I'm saying this might still hit something at 2. There's a chance for it.
there. I didn't say there wasn't a
Whereas
chance. I'm not sure how likely it is, but you're certainly not like making.
saddles,
You're not like
mounts.
making choices. So I don't think this text is like super relevant. It's more relevant in games 2 and 3. So like if you have this in your deck, you need to like make note of
Yeah.
like a vehicle or
What you need to
something
call out,
that you want to
right?
dick about with, because you can take notes in Magic. Um, yeah, it's still just like a. So I think it's like a C plus to B minus, probably closer to a B minus, but just because it's a vehicle, not really the ability.
Yeah, I
Ability
agree.
might be good sometimes.
Whoa.
Yep.
Spectacular pile up. 3 and 2 white for a sorcery. All creatures and vehicles lose indestructible until end of turn, then destroy all creatures. And it cycles for 2. I mean, this is just is this just an A?
5-mana board
Because it
wipes
cycles.
are not great generally, so I probably would say it's like a B. But yeah, cycling makes
Really?
it so much better. Oh no, I was agreeing. Like I was just saying, if it was just a 5-mana board wipe, like losing indestructible is like a better, but being exile is much better even than that.
For
Which it's
sure.
not. It does just also blow up vehicles, but that's like it's like the very set specific board wipe.
Yeah.
Um, because a board wipe would be like pretty bad, frankly, if it didn't. This art is amazing.
This
Um,
art is incredible.
the first 4 crashes were accidental. Then the end riders joined the fun. um,
They're like, no chaos.
yeah, but cycling makes this. I think makes this a lot better. A
Yeah, I
lot better.
agree.
Yeah, so I would think this is like an A minus probably. If it was a 4-mana board
Yeah,
wipe,
sure.
then I would say it's an A for sure. But you can't like
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
you're gonna have to develop the board some in limited, so you're gonna eat some amount of your own creatures, especially into a 5-mana board
Yeah, it's
wipe.
always gonna hit some of yours. Yeah.
Yeah,
Unless they like just blew you out really hard, and
yeah.
then it's usually a recovery thing anyway.
Cycling a second.
Oh
Ooh,
baby,
Valor's
you get to pick one.
flagship. Parhelion? 4
Yeah,
white. Legendary artifact vehicle, 7/7, flying, first strike, lifelink. Crew 3. Oh, we went over this in the mechanics, right? And
yeah,
then it has the cycling text of Decree of Justice, which is X, 2 and a white. And whenever you cycle this card, you create X, not soldiers, but pilots, actually. So they crew stuff bigger than them. So if X is 0, it just cycles and doesn't create anything for 3 total mana, but you still discard and redraw, which means you can reanimate this with things that we've seen. Um,
yep,
Crew 3 is like, normally we would say Crew 3 is substantial, but like I said in the other review, the way I kind of view it is like, how much is it upgrading what you're crewing? And the answer here is infinity. It is an infinity
yeah,
upgrade of your 3/3. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, it's a kind of an unbeatable house in the air. Your opponent has to kill it immediately, or they're probably not winning.
yeah,
Um, because it's a 14 life swing, or you're just gaining 7 life and they're chump blocking. And the cycling is just like nice earlier, like when you maybe cycle it for 5 to make 2 pilots, I guess. If you like have no more land in your hand, I'd probably do that.
Hey, there's that 4-cost recursion to the battlefield from your graveyard. I would, if
Yeah,
this is in my hand and I have that other one in my hand, I might just cycle it for 0 at 3.
for 3. Yeah, depends how many vehicles you have. I like the idea
Yeah.
of being able to cycle it for 2, because like imagine you did like 2-drop creature, 3-drop vehicle, 4-drop creature, and then you're like crewing your 3-drop with your 4-drop or something, and then you're only attacking with the 2-drop. I'd be tempted to like make 2 pilots on turn 5,
Yeah.
or maybe on turn 4 there. Like that is my 4-drop, just so I can crew the 3-drop easily with it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, yeah, it depends on how many lands I have. Like if I'm staring at 6 lands in my hand, I'm probably not cycling it, or like 6 total lands hand and board. I'm
Yeah,
probably
yeah, for
not
sure.
cycling it. Depends
Yeah,
on board
I don't.
state.
I would prefer to not have to cycle it.
I mean, I don't think the cycling part of it is that strong. Like it's pretty expensive. It's obviously better in green if you can accelerate
Yeah, I
it.
don't. I don't think the cycling is that strong either.
There wasn't much accelerating. Oh, we have to remember, were the blue cards that said they paid for abilities too, right? Cycling is an ability. So wasn't there one that tapped for like double blue or something, but you could only pay for abilities with it?
Yeah, or it's two colorless.
Yeah, Pat tap for 2 colors. We could only use it for abilities or artifacts. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
so like that would be pretty
Yeah,
good with
that's good
this.
with this. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Huge.
all in all, I still just think this is like a B. To be honest, just because like it costs 7 and its cycling's not that good, and there's a decent bit of artifact hate, and it like isn't
Yeah.
resistant to any artifact hate. So it's probably just like a B, and it might even be lower than that. And I'm just a sucker for the Decree of Justice reference. What do you think? Do you think that a professional like LSV or Paul Cheon or Marshall would grade this lower than a B if we were being
No, I don't think
serious?
so.
You don't think so? Okay.
No.
So you just think
Like
a
this, I
B
mean,
for
this is just, I mean, if this comes down,
a
you could
7-drop?
probably crew it in this set especially.
Yeah, you can for
And
sure crew it. It's just a
it's
7-drop
just
though.
wins. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a B.
But it's a flyer. It's a
Yeah,
7/7 flyer.
yeah. Your opponent might have used all their removal by that point. Here you go.
Yeah.
It's a 1-drop. That's exciting.
Yeah. Voyager Glide Car, 1 white for an artifact vehicle. When this vehicle enters Scry 1. It's a 2/3, by the way, and tap 3 other untapped creatures you control until end of turn. This vehicle becomes an artifact creature and gains flying, and put a 1/1 counter on it.
Yeah, we talked about this. This is the worst version of that Sky
Yeah.
Marshal or whatever
Yes.
that
Yes.
that was extremely good in standard. So that one, you tap 3 untapped creatures you control, which could include itself, and it gets a counter. It was a 1/2 for 1, but if it gets 3 counters, then it gets flying and vigilance.
Yeah.
And it
Permanently.
and it also, and you scry 1 every time you put a counter on it as well. So that one is like you have to tap 3 untap things 3 times. You get 3 scries out of it, 3 counters out of it, and then it permanently has flying and vigilance. So this thing, you only have to tap. You have to tap 3 others, so it can't tap itself. Um, and they have to be creatures. They can't be vehicles. But then this thing permanently becomes a 3/4 vehicle, and has flying, but doesn't have vigilance. And you only get 1 scry. So they're kind of similar.
Yeah. Yeah. They're kind of similar. I mean, this card is still good though.
Yeah, just like let's evaluate it just with the crew one. So it's a 2/3 that gives you a scry for 1, and then assuming you have a 2-drop, it's like immediately attacking, right? So
Yeah.
like if you have a 2-drop that starts your engines, this is pretty cracked, right? This on 1,
This is
that on
pretty cracked.
2,
Yeah.
crew it, immediately get to 2. Nothing's blocking this 2/3,
No.
So yeah, this is probably like
A
and then in the
B.
late,
B. A
yeah,
B.
I would say this is probably like a B, because in the late game, then it could just be a 3/4 that scries 1 for 1
Yeah, because
mana.
if you are just shitting out pilots or even the 1/1 um
Yeah.
the Thopters, like
Or just
this goes
aren't way
crazy.
behind. Just aren't way
Yeah.
behind and can afford to
Yeah,
tap 3
or
things
yeah,
to make a three
exactly.
four. Um, yeah, I think it's like a B. I like it. It's a cool card. Mindspring
Ew.
Merfolk. 1 blue mana for a 1/1 Merfolk Wizard. Exhaust X blue, so you can only do this once a game. But if you were to bounce this or like flicker it, it would reset your ability
And
to
there
do
is
it.
the other creature that lets
And
you
there's
reuse it.
just lets you do any one exhaust every turn, no matter if you use it or not.
Yeah.
Draw X cards. Put a 1/1 counter on each Merfolk creature you control. So you can pay 2 and tap and just get the 2 blue and tap and just get the 1/1 counters on Merfolk, including itself.
Yeah. Yep.
But draw X cards. So like ideally it's at least 3, right? Draw 3.
Yeah, you would hope.
It's an instant speed.
Yes, it is. That's nice.
This card's pretty cracked. Like maybe in general. I could see in
Yeah.
earlier formats, like a control deck, let me say constructed formats. I don't know if it would be good earlier, like a control deck just trying to stick this on one. Like if it can stick this on one and then be like, you have to deal with this, or eventually I'm just gonna EOT draw 4. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think this card, like you said, has a chance in other formats.
I think it's pretty good in limited as well.
This is the only merfolk in this set.
Yeah, it's trying to be. I mean, I'd be interested to put this in, maybe even like modern merfolk. That deck's pretty tight. Maybe like one of them. Yeah, I think in limited though, this is is this a C plus? This feels like a C plus.
Yeah, why not?
It's like a C plus. Maybe just a C. I mean, I won't. Eh, I'll try it. It seems like a C plus. I'm trying to.
Yeah, I think there's a chance for it to be a C plus.
Obviously, the more instants in your deck, the better this card is. When
Also,
you,
I mean, obviously, if you care about exhaust too, in general,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
very good.
Like if you have a deck where you have like 4 counters in it or something, 4 counters and 3 red removal spells that are instants, that makes this
Yeah.
card much better. Ooh.
Ooh. Mu Yanling, Wind Rider, 2 and 2 blue, so 4 for a legendary creature human wizard pilot. And it is a 2/4. When this creature enters, create a 3/2 colorless vehicle artifact token with crew 1. So when this ETBs, it just makes a 3/2. That's also an artifact that crews. Vehicles you control have flying, passively. When one or more creatures you control with flying deal combat damage to a player, draw a card.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
so this
obviously the
this just
dream.
crews something that you already have played.
Yeah, exactly. It
It
draws you a
gives
card.
creatures flying and draws you a card. The turn it enters,
Yeah,
assuming you've played a vehicle 2 or 3.
that's the dream. That's the dream is you have a vehicle in play and they don't have a flying blocker, and then this is like even more broken than it would already be.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is pushed.
Yeah, this is an A.
Yeah, this is an A.
The
This
borderline
just
A
wins you the game.
plus, I think.
Yeah, because if it comes down turn 4 and it's doing the thing, like the game is probably over.
And the thing is having like one vehicle in play. That's all it's asking you. Like to be
Yeah,
its most
yeah,
broken
yeah.
self, it needs one other vehicle to have been played.
And blue certainly can.
Yeah, blue absolutely can.
Certainly, if you're in blue white, you almost certainly do.
Again, that 3/3 pseudo wall, dude. I'm high on that card. Like that
Yeah.
3/3 pseudo wall is amazing with this because it needs crew 2 as
Oh
well.
yeah.
Or was it crew 2? Maybe it was
Yeah.
only crew 1. Um,
I think
but
it
yeah,
was. I think that one
yeah, it
was
doesn't matter.
crew
It's
too,
certainly
but
not 3. So you
yes,
just crew that. It's a
yes.
3/3 flyer. They're not profitably blocking that on turn 4.
No.
No shot. So they're taking 3 damage probably. Or chump blocking and drawing a card. And then you still have another 3/2 flyer and this 2/4 and any other vehicle that's flying. So yeah, it's an A, borderline A
Yeah.
plus. Crazy card.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a big groan when opponent plays.
Yes.
Possession engine.
Possession engine.
I love all of these arts so far. I'm very
Yeah, this art
vibing.
is excellent.
3 blue for an artifact vehicle 5/5. When this vehicle enters, gain control of target creature an opponent controls for as long as you control this vehicle. That creature can't attack or block for as long as you control this vehicle. So it's funny. It's like it's stealing a driver. It's it's
Yes.
it's taking their creature and like the joke is it's
With this
forced
poor
to drive
shark.
this, right? Because it can't attack or block,
Yeah.
even though you control it. You can sack it. So this is much better in Demir, right? As we know, there is that self-sack removal spell. There wasn't very much other self-sack at all, though, was there?
Not a
Like,
ton.
there's very few sack outlets, I feel like.
There are a couple, but not many.
Yeah. Can you just look up, just do a, while I'm talking about this, just like a Scryfall search for sacrifice?
Sacrifice, yeah.
Yeah. Because I know there's that enchantment that made them sacrifice, but anyway, so if you have sacrifice outlets, obviously this is like much better. And depending on what you take from them, you might literally just use it as a crew for this. Like maybe you're not like, oh, it's crazy that I took their 3/3. Like you're just gonna use it to crew this because it's a 5/5. But maybe you just don't ever crew or attack with this because you took out their mythic or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's Hellspring Sideswipe, which is the one that you sacrifice um, a creature or artifact of yours to destroy target
yeah.
vehicle or creature.
That's the 1 mana one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is there anything else?
Uh, one rare that we haven't seen. So no,
Okay.
you do not care about everything else. Self-sacrifices, literally everything else.
Wow. So yeah, not really any sacrifice outlets other than an uncommon.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's interesting. That makes this a little worse, certainly, because you can't really combo it. But obviously still better in black if you just have that one uncommon. But yeah, I would say this
Yeah,
is
it is still just stealing a pilot, like
yeah, this is like a
for
B.
your
But I mean, if
vehicles.
if this dies, they get it back. So it
Sure.
it feels to me like it's actually just like a 5/5 creature for 5 at its floor, and like is maybe really expensive removal. It's like it's a really expensive Oblivion Ring, right? At its ceiling,
Yeah.
since it really doesn't have
Yeah.
combat potential. So yeah, it's actually probably like a B minus. I think this
Yeah.
is like worse than it
Yeah.
seems because of that, and because there's not a lot of
I
combat
agree.
potential.
Yeah. Well, also it's just a like it's not even like
No evasion.
it doesn't have any evasion.
They could have
Yeah.
getting an Ward 2 or something
Unless you
at
play it with
least.
that other rare where
Sure.
it flies.
Move lane. Yeah, that'd be pretty good then.
Yeah. Uh, Repurposing Bay, 2 and a blue for an artifact. 2 tap. Sacrifice another artifact. Search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrifice artifact's mana value. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Activate only as a sorcery.
Earthing Pod. Earthing Pod for
Earthing Pod for
artifacts.
artifacts.
F. I'm not doing this. I can't imagine
No.
how broken of an artifact I would need to even consider this. Um, but no, I'm not doing this. It's an F.
Yeah. Maybe you have some like really sick vehicle ETB cards.
Yeah,
You just
huge
know
F.
you can hit every time. Yeah, it's an F.
River Churn Monument. The art's not though. Is the art of this one bad? No,
Yeah,
love the
the
art of
art's
it.
an S tier. Yeah.
This is also amazing art. River Churn Monument. 1 in a blue artifact. 1 in tap. Any number of target players. Each mill 2 cards. So me or you or both. Exhaust 2 and 2 blue. Any number of any number of target players. Each mill cards equals the number of cards in their graveyard. So we read this before I actually did the math on how many turns that
Yeah.
takes to kill them. I think it was like 7, maybe. It's like 28 mils, so like buy turns 7, but that would be like turn 9 because you can't on 2 you can't even play and tap it. It has to be on turn 3. I don't
Just
know.
dominate self-mill decks.
It does hurt decks that like self milling, or it powers them up briefly and then it kills them.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I'm not gonna play this. I think this is an F because I didn't see any other milling support like to mill out your opponent. You just are having to hope they're milling
Yeah,
themselves. There's maybe
yeah, I
one
agree.
thing that milled.
I want to play this, but
And if this is your 3-drop, I guess you can kill them like I said, turn 9 or 10 or something, which isn't
yeah.
awful. Here we go.
Thopter Fabricator, 2 and a blue for an artifact vehicle 4/4 with flying. When you draw your second card each turn, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. This is busted with all the cycling in
It
this
has crew.
set,
It has crew too, right?
and it crews. Yeah, so it's a 4/4 flyer for 3 that's just pumping out 1/1.
Well, assuming you can crew
B
it,
plus.
it's a flyer. I think it's probably better than that.
An A.
Yeah, I think
Like, I mean,
it's
this
I
card is
think it's like I think it's like
ridiculous.
an A minus because like a 4/4 flyer for 3 is such an unbelievable beating. Like sure it's crew 2, but again, like your 2-drop becoming a 4/4 flyer is like pretty
We've seen 1 and
outrageous.
2 drops that will accrue this pretty easily.
Yeah. And eventually you can like crew itself. Assuming you have more draw. So obviously prioritize more draw, but the cycling, literally cycling triggers this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is like
that's what I said. There's a ton of cycling in this set.
yeah, that's like an A minus to an A. It's pretty good. Unstoppable
Oh,
Plan. 2 and a blue enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, untap all non-land permanents you control. F.
F.
Cute card.
F.
Not worth a card. Not doing it. Obviously,
Ooh.
combo implications in Commander. Yep.
Vingst. Vingst. Winkst.
Vinxt. Vinxt.
Winkst. Verbose Host. 1 and a blue for a legendary creature homunculus. It's a 0/4. Start your engines. You have no maximum hand size, and at max speed, if you would draw a card, draw 2 instead. So this is a pretty cool payoff for max speed.
Yeah, but like, it's a 0/4.
Yeah, I mean, this is too good if it's like a 1/4 or 1/3.
I don't think it's too good if it's a 1/3.
Hey, 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 maybe you have the 3-drop that when you discard a card, you ping them, and then you just start cycling them
There
and
you go.
just destroying them with value. I mean,
Yep.
there's decks where I feel like this is gonna feel so unbeatable.
Yeah,
Because if I mean, if you, it's also out of range of some of the easy removal.
yeah. I don't think this is that good. It might
At
be.
max speed is just so ridiculous.
It does literally nothing until then. It's a bad wall. And if it blocks, it's probably going to die because you're going to have something to follow up with. And you're probably going to have to block. It's just, I don't know. It's in blue. I feel like is going to be the worst at getting max speed. Although maybe it would have the flyers to do it consistently. Maybe since it has flyers, they didn't give it or white like any other tools really to get max speed because all the other colors kind of did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is very good. I think this is like a C to C plus.
Yeah. Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, but I don't really know. I could see it working, sure, but how many decks and how many times in that deck. Waxen Shape Thief. 3 and a blue for
Whoa.
a creature shapeshifter 0/0. Flash, you may have this creature enter as a copy of an artifact or creature you control. You can cycle it for 2. The fact that it's only you control is such a bummer.
Yeah, it's such a bummer.
Such a bummer. But it has Flash, which is an interesting trick. Like, yeah, that's actually a pretty good trick. Imagine you're in a blue deck and you're holding up mana, so they like kind of limp a turn because they don't want you to counter something, and then you're just like EOT copy my 3/3 flyer or something. It'd be like,
Yeah, that'd be pretty brutal.
um,
Or even like a powerful vehicle.
and it can become any artifact actually. Not just a vehicle. It can be any artifact or a creature.
Yeah, yeah. Fair.
And cycling is a nice bailout. So yeah, this is. But the fact you can only target yours and not your opponent's.
Not everyone's.
Yeah. It's still probably like a B.
Yeah, I mean, I still think this card is good, but
Yeah, just flashing in as a
yeah, I'll give it a B.
blocker is pretty crap too. You can almost certainly eat something copying your biggest things. We did a red of a blue.
Yep. As it should be. Me next. Bloodghast, 2 black for a creature vampire spirit, 2/1. This creature cannot block. This creature has haste as long as the opponent has 10 or less life. And landfall, when a land you control enters, you may return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield.
To the battlefield.
To the battlefield untapped. Potentially with haste.
Because it could have haste. It has like the most pushed version of this. Not to your hand, not tapped, in play, and maybe haste. That's interesting.
Literally.
It's very black. Double black. This is very torment the set feeling here.
I mean, is this just like a A-? Like, it's insanely strong?
No, I think
It was
this is
just always in play.
no. I think it's too hard to cast, and like you're not landfalling that much in the late game. You hope not, unless you have like some crazy draw engine. Because even then, it's just a 2/1. Like that's not getting through much. It's not like it has any invasion or anything.
Even if it's just effectively a pilot.
Well, then it's not dying anyway, and it doesn't need haste.
Yeah.
And it can't block, and it's hard to cast. So I would say this is like a C plus, maybe. If you're C plus, if you're already very heavy black. Because think about it this way: if you're not extremely heavy in black, you too can have the opportunity to, on maybe turn 3, cast a 2/1 that can't block with no other relevant game text.
Yeah.
That's like an F.
And also
plus.
because there's like no sacrifice value in the set. Like,
you know what? I'm gonna go lower.
Best, I guess.
This card is almost unplayable. you have to be.
That's crazy to me.
You have to be very heavy in black. I think you're reading it more like this is so much better and constructed, where your game plan can be like mono black super aggro, basically.
Or just.
Oh, you just completely disconnected your mic from your headset.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just said. I mean, I will say with all the mill happening in green black, this might be nice because you're just getting it for free essentially.
That's true. Yeah, you can self-mill it, recur it for free. They can make it a little better. Yeah, you definitely have to be heavy black. I'm like, I'm not taking this any higher than a C. Unless this is like, if this is pack 3, I'm specifically in black, heavy, green, black with decent mill, then I'll take it as like a C plus.
Sure.
Crypt Caller Chariot. 3 and a black for a 5/5 menace artifact vehicle. Whenever you discard one or more cards, create that many tap 2/2 black zombie creature tokens, and it crews to A. A.
A.
So you cycle once and immediately crews itself, and you paid 4 mana for a 5/5 menace that made a 2/2. Are you crazy?
Yeah, are you? Yeah, you. I think you're surely kidding me.
It has to be tapped because
Maybe you're kidding me.
You're kidding me. Like the reason it has to be tapped because it would be so obscene if all you had to do was cycle your next turn. Like at least it can't immediately crew itself on turn 5. Like just a then it's literally just a 5/5 for 4 that makes a 2/2. Like yeah, this might be an A plus. This card is crazy. You obviously want
very good.
cycling and some more discard options if you can get them. Like some rummages or something. Yeah, this card is.
I'll give it an A plus.
This card is wildly good. I'm surprised the crew isn't higher. I feel like this was when they made crew 4, and they're like, that 2, and we'll tap them. We'll tap the 2.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the more pushed ones we've seen.
Yeah,
like,
and only 4 instead of 5 too. It's like they're not valuing the fact it makes that many 2/2s. I don't know.
Yeah,
weird.
That could be a lot of 2/2s.
That could be a lot.
Oh, sexy mummy.
You're good.
Curse Cloth Wrappings, 2 and 2 black for an artifact. Zombies you control get +1/+1, and tap it, and target creature in your graveyard gains Embalm, which means that you can just recast it from your graveyard, and it becomes a zombie. Also, in addition to its other types.
I'm going to buy a foil extended art of this. This is probably my favorite art in the set. The color palette.
It's very good art.
Everything. So good.
I mean, yeah, this is. I mean, how this is surely very good. In one of the mill decks, this is hilariously strong.
Oh yeah, I think this card's just amazing. Period. This card's just amazing. Period. It just gives every single one of your creatures 2 lives, and the second life it gains +1/+1. I mean, yeah, this is an A, I think. Like it's a little slow, and that's all the bad you can say. Like you have to eat some turn, but just make this the last thing you play in your hand every game, right? Like you play all your creatures first, and then on turn 6, you're like, this, reanimate my 2-drop, it's a 3/3 now, right?
Yeah.
Then next turn, reanimate my 4-drop, it's a 5/5 now, and your opponent's feeling terrible. So yeah, this is like an A. But the art is some of the best I've ever seen. I love it so much.
You get this card.
Demonic Junkers, 6 and a black for a 4/3 affinity for artifacts. Right? So we're on the Mirror Enforcer train here. When this vehicle enters, for each player, destroy up to 1 target creature that player controls. Okay. If a creature you control was destroyed this way, put 2 1/1 counters on this vehicle, and it crews for 2. So this is like the Black Gear Hulk kind of. This is the set that has the new Gear Hulks that are just worse, right?
Yes.
In my opinion, they're just worse. Okay, so this is like the throwback to the other. So the Black Noxious Gear Hulk or something, it cost 6 and was like a 5/5 menace or something like that. That just ETB destroyed an opponent's creature, which is pretty good. So this one's a 4/3, but could be really cheap. Let's say on average you're gonna have 2 affinity, which makes it cost 5. So on average, this is a turn 5 4/3 that crews 2. That ETB. You're almost always shooting a creature your component controls, right? Like rather than making this a 6/5. Who cares? So it's a 5 mana 4/3 crew 2. That's sorcery speed removal. Yeah, it's like a B plus.
Yeah,
it's like a B
plus. It's just a super solid card.
And if you have a ton of artifacts, it's like higher. It's like an A minus. It's like crazy removal, right? If you can get this down to like
it's absolutely
2 cost or something silly.
Yeah. Then it's for sure an A minus. Yes, Guzzler. 1 black. This art is so good. It's a vampire rogue. It's a 2/1 for one that starts your engines. This creature enters tapped and max speed. Pay a black, sacrifice another creature or vehicle, and draw a card.
There's your sack outlet.
There's a sack outlet. Okay.
Huh. Seems pretty good.
Yeah, it seems pretty good. I mean, just the 1-drop start your engines.
Yeah, 1-drop start your engines is
Super
fine.
good.
But I still think it's just like
Yes.
it's like a C plus B minus.
Yeah.
Because
Believe that.
for the most part, it's like a Savannah land that starts your engines. For the most part.
Yeah.
And then if you manage to have a lot of things to sack, and this is a live turn 5 or whatever, could be good. Sack. This is another though. If it could also sack itself, that would actually make it a lot better. If it could self-sack, it was just sacrifice a creature.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That'd be pretty broken. Oh, Gaunty, the most gauntiest Gaunty that ever gauntied. The Night Minister version. 2 and 2 black for a legendary creature. Aetherborn. Aetherborn Rogue. 3/4. Whenever a player casts a spell they don't own, that player creates a treasure. A player, very commander. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, once again we're playing commander, its controller looks at the top card of that opponent's library and exiles it face down. They may play that card for as long as it remained exiled. Mana of any type can be used to cast a spell. So basically, whenever you deal combat damage to one of your opponents, each creature instance, whenever a creature, so it does it for every creature that hits, you get one of your opponent's cards. Because it's not one or more creatures, whenever a creature.
And it's and it you can do it at any time because they remain exiled.
Yeah, they may play that card for exile for as long as it remains exiled. So I believe that does install the memory layer that is not dependent on Gaunty still being in play.
Yeah, even being around.
I think. I'm pretty sure. But they will not get the treasure token unless Gaunty is in play. And by they, I mean you, because we're talking about limited, not commander. Yes, it's a very Gaunty card. Commander, obviously, this is like much better if you have flyers or something unblockable that can for sure get through. Yeah. But other than that, it's like a 3/4 for 4, and I'm not that excited about it. If I have a lot of evasion, I think this is like a B minus. If I don't have a lot of evasion, this is like a C plus.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you really have to be able to make his thing happen, but
yeah,
I mean, it's essentially just a free draw, because I mean, it's not obvious. You're not bound by the mana cost, really.
Yeah, maybe it's like a B minus to a B plus.
Yeah,
because like
more in there, I think.
On the average game, you still hit them sometimes, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if you hit them the turn that comes into play, it's pretty good.
Death Shadow, you're good, Gabe.
The Last Ride. 1 black for a legendary artifact vehicle, a 13/13 crew 2, but the Last Ride gets -X, where X is your life total. And you can use it just as an artifact and pay 2 and a black, pay 2 life, and draw a card. You do not have to tap it to do. So pay 3 and 2 life to draw a card. I mean, this card is good.
Yep. The cool thing about it too is you can you can use its ability to actively manipulate its power and toughness as a combat trick.
Yes, yeah.
Like you could grow it 4 in combat if you had 6 mana, which is pretty funny.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this card is very good.
Yeah, I do agree that I think this is pretty good and limited. So like the sweet spot for this starts at being at 8 health, right? Because then it's a 5/5. So now we're talking like it's a real creature.
Yeah.
In limited, you can get to 8 health and stabilize. It's reasonable, especially if you're black. You have kind of more control because like maybe you're holding your removal spells, not necessarily using them But at the same time, this does do nothing to the board in a deck where there, or in a meta where there's speed that needs to, be blocked.
Yeah.
So this is like a pretty. I think this is like a very much a late game card in limited. Where in constructed, this is obviously an early game card.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, and then it's got the whole like controlling aspect of like paying 2 life. Like I can see Orzhov that can like life gain as well. Just liking this for just the draw card stuff. Again, it's hard to say how good this is. Um,
Yeah, it is because it's like, yeah, just the way this format is set up and with Start Your Engines being a part of it.
yeah,
I'm gonna give it a cool B
yeah.
or
I
B
think
minus
I'm
for that.
only playing this in like a controlly deck, like exclusively, like Demir or something.
Yeah.
Where I'm interested in actually like control, because like here's where this really is a beating in limited. Like imagine you are in control. Like you've got like a couple of, again, my favorite thing, that 3/3 pseudo wall. You got a couple of them. You've removed a couple things, and then you just like stick this.
Yeah.
You've stuck this for 1 mana on some turn because that's all it costs, and then you just start like end of your turn drawing. Like you do that three
Right.
times, you've won, and then eventually this is like
Or
big.
and then you use the Demir drain spell on them to finish it.
Yeah, sure, and to kill your own creature
Yeah.
because you gain life. But
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I think this is actually now, like as I just kind of sounded that out, this is really strong if you're a heavy control sort of deck. Like it's very strong.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, I think so.
so yeah, like a control build around, I would have this at like probably a B, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure
Sure.
it's really playable in anything else. Maybe like Orzhov mid range as well or something.
Yeah, we'll see.
Interesting card. Quag Feast. 1 and a black for a sorcery. Again, amazing
Spirits.
art. Choose target creature, planeswalker, or vehicle. Mill 2 cards, then destroy the chosen permanent if the mana value is less than or equal to the number of cards in your graveyard. Oh, that's cool. That's not at all what I thought it was going to say. That seemed okay. I like that. I like that. I like that it starts at 2 because that means that this just kills any 2 drop for 2, right? And then it
Right.
starts getting more conditional, and then it in the later game it's almost like it loses all conditions, right? Because you end up having a lot of
Right.
cards in your
Right.
graveyard. So it's like weirdly bad in the mid range where like on turn 4 this probably isn't killing a 4 drop. It could.
Yeah.
um
Unless you're in a mill deck.
Unless you're in a mill deck or there's very aggressive trading, but then
Yeah.
eventually it does just kill everything again. I
I
think
think
this is like, I
this
think this
set
is like a
might
B
have
plus.
aggressive trading too with max speed.
Yeah, I think this is like a B plus. I think it's
Yeah, I
just
think
really
this
good.
is
I
really,
think it's just
really,
really
really
good.
good.
I think it's really good removal. I think that
Yeah.
one stumbling block isn't enough to like knock it down much.
No.
What was it?
It's got a
Speed brewed racers are gregarious while not racing, but everyone must eat. Awful.
yeah, it seems like a terrible way to die.
Yep.
The Speed Demon. 3 and 2 black for a legendary creature demon 5/5. Has flying and trample. Start your engines, and at the beginning of your end step, you draw X cards and lose X life, where X is your speed.
Something called the
This card
speed
is
demon
nuts.
doesn't have haste.
Yeah, it should have haste. But it does draw you cards immediately. It is at least drawing you one
It
card,
does.
and you lose a life, guaranteed. First
Yeah,
turn it enters,
because it
and
immediately starts
possibly
your
for.
engine.
I mean, this just. I think this. I mean, is this card an A minus? Like this card is ending the game quick, fast, and in a hurry, and giving you a lot of card draw.
Yeah. Well, I think this is an A in limited, just a flat A, because it basically just
Okay.
replaces itself or better immediately. Could even be an A plus
Yeah.
actually. Maybe just an A
Yeah.
because it does
Fair.
have some threat to kill yourself or like be unplayable. Like you have
Yeah.
max
Yeah.
you have
There
max
are. Yeah.
speed and you're at 4 health and you're like, well, um,
Yeah, actually a dead card.
But like, I think this actually has chances in like standard potentially, because it always just replaces itself. And then like its design completely insular is like it it replaces itself immediately at the end of your turn, and then you're probably hitting them at least once, assuming they don't remove it, of course. And then you're drawing 2, and at that point, it's just a runaway success. So yeah, I think it's A,
Yeah, the
borderline
fact that
A
it just
plus.
has trample to get
Yeah,
through any flying blockers is,
flying trample's huge. Yeah,
yeah.
A to A plus, extremely good.
Yeah.
Boom
Red.
mobile. Which are red. 2 and 2 red for an artifact vehicle 5/5. When this vehicle enters, add 4 mana of any one color. Spend this mana
Whoa.
only to activate abilities, like cycling or exhaust, which is what we have next.
Or exhaust.
X 2 in a red. This vehicle deals X damage to any target. Put a 1/1 counter on this vehicle. Here is our Flame Tongue Kavu of the set, which is now like an internal set design challenge in Wizards. As every set they have to put in a Flame Tongue Kavu by a different name. So the funny thing here is that it completely gets rid of its mana cost by what its ability does, right? Which is why it's the Flame Tongue Kavu thing again, right? Because the idea is, so for 4 mana, this is a 6/6 vehicle. Like, we're talking about floor here, right? 4 mana, it's a 6/6 vehicle that shoots anything for 1. You could pay 5
Which
mana.
could be their face.
Yeah, could be their face to activate
for max
speed. To activate speed, yeah. For 5 mana, you could get a 6/6 vehicle and shoot anything for 2. Right? Or obviously its mana could be used for any other ability, be it cycling or exhaust or what have you. It says to activate abilities. I don't know if that works for cycling or not, because cycling is not an activated ability, but it is an ability. If it said spend this mana only on abilities or to pay for abilities, yeah, I'm not sure. That'd be interesting.
There's a couple low cost exhaust cards in multiple colors though, where you might be able to turn 2 or 3, play one of them, play this, and immediately exhaust them and play this, and then hold up this is later removal.
Well, there were certainly 2 that were like 2/1s that became 4/3s, like in 2 different colors.
Yes.
Like one in red and one in blue.
Yes.
Yeah, and then just hold this up to do it any time. And its crew 2 is low. It doesn't have any evasion, but it's like probably at least a 6/6. And again, that exhaust can be done at instant speed as well. So yeah, all in all, this is what, like an A? Feels like an A.
Yeah, this is an A. I'm so in for this.
Because the 5, yeah, this is like an A. You know what? I wonder if you even, like, if you had no other targets for the mana, I'm not even sure I would do this. Like, it depends how many ways I think that they could remove this, right, before I did this.
Yeah.
But, like, if the 1 mana, if the
dependent.
1 damage isn't going to, like, matter, again, it depends, like you said, if your speed has been started, how much you care about speed, what is your speed at, if you just don't ping face. There's a lot of considerations there, but it's a cool card. Right, your go.
Yeah. Also, you remember in like the green squirrel is 3 and a green, and exhaust it to put a 1/1 counter on it and make a 3/3 elephant, and that's a 1-drop common.
That's true. That'd be a good one.
Yeah, there's a 2-drop that is also exhaust for 4 in red. That was really, really good. Also at 3 in red. Also at 2 in green at uncommon, which was a nuts one.
Yeah, there's several good ones for sure.
Yeah, there are so many good ones. Yeah,
I think this one,
right.
we've discussed this card before.
Astronaut. Yeah, 1 red for a creature goblin warrior. It's a 1/1. It's a menace, and it starts your engines. For 2, this creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn, and at max speed, it gains double strike. Period. So this card is.
Astronaut is hilarious.
I mean, yes, in the bash down, or it's this is your best card. Like this is
Yeah.
what you want to see every
Yeah.
time.
This
And
is
this is
this is
just
an
an A in
amazing.
those decks.
Yeah, it's an amazing speed card. It's probably an A period. Maybe an A
Yeah,
minus. It's
maybe just
just so aggressive. It's almost
so
guaranteed to get
so
you to
aggressive and
2.
so yes. And the threat of activation before max speed. Like I'm glad the pump isn't tied to the max speed also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that you can just use it to trade something big off early is also cool.
Yeah.
Earlier.
At least the 3 drop. Like assuming you have 4 open mana.
Yeah.
It's not exactly mana efficient, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
a good
smart.
card. I
But
think it's like an A minus to an A, but it can single handedly just win a
the
game.
right deck.
You
Yeah.
definitely hate to see that sucker on 1. Ooh, I get a cool one.
Ooh, baby.
Chandra, Spock Hunter. 3 in a red for a legendary planeswalker, Chandra. It's a 4 loyalty planeswalker. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose up to 1 target vehicle you control. Till end of turn, it becomes an artifact creature and gains haste. Let's do it to that massive 6/10 white one.
Yep. Yep.
That'd be pretty good. Um, you may +2. You may sacrifice an artifact or discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Hey, that also works with the white one because it reanimates stuff from your graveyard. Um,
Yes.
0, you get a 3/2 colorless vehicle artifact token with crew 1, which is the same thing Mu Yanling makes. And then -7, you get an emblem with whenever an artifact you control enters, this emblem does 3 damage to any target. So lightning bolt anything whenever an artifact enters. Not even play because it wants to Zenergize with its 0 ability.
Yeah.
So let's just say you don't have artifacts to sacrifice. You're just rummaging for +2. I don't hate that.
I don't hate it.
It doesn't strictly be able to defend itself immediately because it is a vehicle, so you have to have one other creature.
Yes.
But that's also reasonable. So like it's pretty close to defending itself with a 3/2, which is normally these things make 2/2s, right? Is there 0?
Right.
If
Right.
they're defending
But the fact that you
themselves.
can even crew it with a leftover 1/1 is
Mhm.
pretty sick.
And also you can, if you're being aggressive, you can immediately attack with it without crewing it
Oh, for sure.
because of its main ability. Because it even gives it
And you only have
haste
to plus it twice to get it to its ultimate. If you can protect it for 2 turns,
without
that ult is
without
nuts.
creating the thing. Yeah, and the ult is just the end of the game, presumably, for your
Yeah.
opponent.
And the
So yeah,
+2 just having free card selection is pretty nice, or if you're sacking something irrelevant, which
this
seems less
this
likely.
this feels just like a solid A. It doesn't feel completely broken, but like those walls of 3/2s for 0, it's just gonna be really hard to kill Chandra unless you're already quite ahead when they play it. Um,
Yeah.
Even though it's a vehicle, I guess it being a vehicle, you do actually have a narrower band. Or sorry, you do have like a bigger band to actually be able to kill Chandra, because the reason the 3/2 is much worse than like a 2/2 in this instance is all you really need is another 2/2, and then both the 2/2s can like block a 4/4, right? This thing
Right.
is going to use your 2/2 to become a 3/2 and not be able to block the 4/4.
Right.
It's just going to have to keep chumping, which will kind of keep Chandra locked down.
Yeah.
That being said, I still think it's an A.
Yeah, I still think it's an A. Count on Luck. 3 red for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. So this is hard to cast, but I mean, this is just a really good card.
So they make it cost 1 less than normal, but at the cost of triple red.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in a heavy red deck, even if you're just in 2 color with red,
I think this is
I
this
mean,
is this is
I think
trying
this
to
is just
tempt mono
really
red and
good.
constructed. I don't think this is a limited card. I'm never playing this in limited.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
you
just
have to
so
be
much
mono
card
red.
advantage, isn't it?
You have to be mono red.
Yeah, fair, fair.
You have to be mono red because like
I mean, are you
if
so upset about playing this turn 4 or 5?
You have to be
if you have a staple.
so absurdly heavy red to even think about playing this on 4 that you're basically mono red.
Yeah,
Um,
fair.
and then on 5, like you're still like if I was playing 11 mountains is where I would start maybe
There's
thinking
common
about.
duels in this too.
Yeah, if I was playing, okay, if I was playing 12 red sources, I would maybe consider playing this, assuming I picked it in my last 3 picks. Um,
Okay.
in constructed, I'm more interested in this.
Yeah, this is cool and constructed.
We've seen stuff like this before, even stuff that normally for 4 at rare we get like some other ability with it, but yeah, 3 is a lot less than 4. Big red baby. Duretti, Rocketeer Engineer. 4 and a red for a star 5 legendary creature, Goblin Artificer. Duretti's power is equal to the greatest mana value among artifacts you control. And whenever he enters or attacks, choose target artifact in your graveyard. You may sacrifice an artifact. If you do, return the chosen card to the battlefield. So as long as you have 2 artifacts, that just cycles them, right? Which
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
keep getting you ETBs, which is pretty cool. And he
Yeah, that is pretty
himself
cool.
is like a 3/5, probably 3/5 to
Some
maybe
up to a
bigger, 5/5, something bigger. This
there's the
actually,
affinity 7 drop.
well, I was gonna say this actually works hilariously well with affinity because like the affinity's casting
Oh
costs
yeah.
are so high that when they're in
Right.
play, their casting cost is just what's printed or its mana value is.
Right.
Um,
This is 7/5.
yeah. Like this card is really interesting with like Thought Copter. Like you imagine you just start cycling 2 Thought Copters.
Yeah.
They each cost 8, so he's an 8/5, and you just draw 2 every time they cycle back and forth. I mean, it's too expensive to
Yeah,
be
that would be
played
pretty cool.
in modern, but like that's a funny interaction. You probably get some value, like we even said, like that the black artifact that gives -2/-2, like that's brutal with this, obviously. To
Hey,
bring it.
the Boom Mobile is pretty funny
Oh yeah, exactly,
too.
because you keep getting its exhaust back, and you would just get the mana um
Yeah.
fully towards it,
Or its other exhausts or whatever.
which is pretty cool. Well, like no, even towards it exhaust because you didn't pay anything to play the boom cannon, so it's just all juice. So like if you
Right.
had, let's just say you've had 5 mana, you could have 6 total for X because it pays for the 3 and the 1 itself, the boom mobile when it comes into play, and then you just pump all
Yeah.
your rest of mana into it. Like that's insane. And those are 2 rares
Yeah.
comboing. But yeah, this seems like a B,
Yeah. It's just a solid card.
but it can do some broken
It's still
stuff,
a prop a lot of the time seemingly going to be a 3/5 for 5, which is
which is bad.
bad.
But the upside of what it could do, it's probably gonna.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It has a high chance to do something else productive with its second ability, basically
For
immediately.
sure.
Like,
Yeah.
'cause you can plan around it too with what's in your hand. Like, you can take an aggressive trade and leave your 2 or 1 drop artifact there just to sack it and get back the bigger one. So, I dig it. Your go.
Draconaut's Engineer, 1 in a red for a Goblin Artificer 2/2, and you can exhaust it for 1 red. Other creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. Put a 1/1 counter on this creature. That's pretty good. Exhaust for 4, create a 4/4 red dinosaur dragon creature token with flying. So this card is really good.
What?
So so turn 3, you can play a 2-drop and exhaust an attack in with a 3/3 that this would be, and give the other 2/2 haste, which would almost certainly get you to the next max speed level, probably. And then also just turn 4, creating a flying token is pretty insane. I mean, this card is nuts. This card is an A.
Yeah.
This card maybe is playable in other formats if goblins can get there.
I agree that this is an A. I mean, goblins do typically get there. Um, I will say
The
that like
one red to give it a 1/1 counter
on
and
yeah
haste to other things seems so good.
on the play
Also, turn
it's pretty
5 doing
gross. It's pretty gross on the play.
turn. It's really gross on the play, but I mean, turn 5 also just making a hasty 4/4. It's pretty
I
crazy.
almost feel like that's the plan when you're on the draw in limited typically
Yeah.
is to not exhaust it turn 3 when you're on the draw.
Mhm.
But when you're on the play, you're doing like you want to do the play you said first, where you play another 2-drop
Yeah, yeah,
and pump this and just swing with both of them and make them trade the 2-drop, and then you have a 3/3, and then on turn 4 you just cash in the other exhaust and still attack with this, like try to trade
yeah,
their
yeah.
3-drop, and then you're just literally up a 4/4 flyer. Like you
Right.
traded your 2-drop with their 2-drop, then your 2-drop with their 3-drop, and you're left with a 4/4 flyer, and you're like, go.
Yeah. And the fact that you can do this at instant speed is crazy
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. This is an A. And yeah, I could even see play in other formats for the reason that it's an instant. Like this can be a very control-y card. I
Yeah.
guess not even
Yeah.
necessarily has to be an aggressive goblins. Yeah. What a great little value. Who would have thought a 2/2 for 2 that can give haste to everything, become a 3/3 for 1 mana, and make a 4/4 flyer is good.
Yeah, pretty strong.
And then if you have that uncommon that lets you keep exhausting something every turn, pretty good.
Yeah. Even that seems not terrible in Agatha Soul Cauldron. Like just having the
Yeah.
ability to give everything haste and give a 1/1.
Yeah. And just make a dragon. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Full Throttle.
Full Throttle. It's yours, sorry.
4 and 2 red for a sorcery. After this combat, there are 2 additional combat phases. After this main phase, there are 2 additional combat phases. At the beginning of each combat this turn, untap all creatures that attack this turn. So very specific wording such that it's not affected when you play it. You're just simply going to get 3 attacks, and all your creatures are going to untap every attack.
Although it does not include creatures that you use to crew vehicles.
Right, because they have to have attacked. It can. You only have to attack with them the first combat. The second combat you can crew with it.
Oh, yeah.
And then
That's interesting.
and then the third combat you can get all of them. That was actually neat that you said that. That's like a hidden. That's why it's 3.
Yeah,
That's why it's 3 and worded like
that's
that.
funny.
First one you attack with them. Second one you crew. Third one, all of them are going. The pilots have jumped out of the vehicles and are running alongside in the third combat.
That's interesting.
They're full
Is this
throttle.
card playable?
I think kinda, just because it's a shocking amount of damage. Like
It is a shocking amount of damage all of a sudden. If you have a slightly bigger board than them,
or flyers.
I mean, you're guaranteed getting in
Yeah, like
5 to 7 damage pretty easily.
1/3/3 flyer. Like just 3 power in the air that's not blocked. That's 9 damage.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's 9 damage.
I would toy with playing one of these. I think if you were a good player, you would say this is unplayable. But I would toy with playing one of these. I mean, not like you're gonna get more of them.
Okay.
But this
I still think this is like.
This is one of those cards where if you're trying to win, you don't take it. If you're trying to win and have fun, you take it. You know?
Yeah,
at least
sure,
once.
for
At
sure.
least once until you win with it, and then you're like, ah.
And every single time you're gonna get board wiped and then draw this.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And it will do exactly nothing. Oh, get Gastel with it.
Gastal Thrill Roller. 2 and a red for an artifact vehicle. It's a 4/2. It has trample and haste, and when this vehicle enters, it becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. That's pretty cool. Then it crews for 2, and you can pay 2 in red and discard a card. Return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Well, let me tell you what. This in an aggressive deck that's trying to get max speed fast is maybe the best card you can pull.
That'll do it.
Like
Yeah,
this is guaranteed. This is guaranteed to hit them the turn it comes into play and do damage to them.
Yep.
And then theoretically you could just hit them on 4 with it if you were like in a really good position to burn them down with whatever other max speed abilities you have.
Yeah, the fact that it has haste and it's an artifact creature whenever it ETBs, and that affects its own recursion abilities, that it is threatening again being a full trample haste 4/2, like that's so much reach even from the graveyard.
That's so
Like
much
in
reach.
limited, it's your opponents can never attack you. Like if you play this card, there's no way your opponent can attack you until like turn 12 or something. Like they've stabilized so
Yeah.
hard and gained life. Yeah, and it's a huge speed
Yeah.
enabler. This is just an A. This
It's
is
just
just
an A.
this is great no matter what you're doing, I think. You almost want them
Yeah,
to
the
trade
card's
it off, to be
crazy.
honest.
Yeah,
Because like
yeah, literally.
it kind of slows you down a little bit to like start crewing it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Or you could just use it straight up to block.
yeah, in the crazy, yeah, you could. Well, since you have to crew it during your opponent's turn, but it's
That's
crazy to
fine.
me that it doesn't like. I feel like its recursion should only be for one turn, but no, you just get the whole dumb thing again.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, definite A. Hazaret.
Oh god.
I get the first god, Godseeker. One in a red. Actually, it should be Godseeker. One in a red for a legendary creature god at Mythic. It's a 5/3. Indestructible haste 5/3 for 2 mana. Right on. Start your engines. Hey for 2. That's on value. One in tap. Target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. That's pretty good for speed and winning. Hazaret
Yeah.
can't attack or block unless you have max speed. So this is a very aggressive card.
Yes. It gets you to max speed by itself though.
So, not that every deck isn't, but I'm extremely interested in cheap removal with this card so that I can not
Yeah.
die while I get max speed, and then I can really not die because I have a 5/3 indestructible. Um,
Also, this does not die to that -2/-2, which is nice. That common -2/-2.
that's true. That's true. That would
That is
suck.
it
Suck if
does
it
die to the
did.
-6/-6, but
True.
most things are.
Yeah. And it does die to the board wipe, right? Because he gets rid of indestructible.
Yeah.
That's why the board wipe gets rid of indestructible. I forgot gods were in this.
Because of the gods.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, just as like an enchantment, which is kind of how they are before they become.
Yeah.
Interestingly, they are creatures the whole time. For some reason, I'm used to the gods, like the default gods, like Perforos and stuff, being enchantment creatures that don't become creatures until you qualify for something. This one's
Yeah.
just pacifismed, so it can crew too, actually, which is very
Oh,
important.
that's interesting.
Yeah,
That's extremely
it
important.
can crew and saddle. So note that for those who, just like me, maybe made
makes
that
it much
mistake.
better.
Yeah, that does make this much better, especially being a 2-drop. Okay, yeah, that I would say that bumps it up like at least a half letter. So I was gonna say something like, I don't know what I was gonna say, but now I'm gonna say this is a B.
I think it's a B plus. Honestly,
B plus.
I think it's a B plus because it gets itself to max speed, and this just being an attacking 5/3 every single turn is it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I mean,
the,
it's still gonna take a
in
while. Like,
late game, if you're gonna
assuming,
start your engines deck and you already have it, this just dropping it and being a
but
hasty
again,
5/3 is pretty cool.
but here I'm gonna push back on you. I hear what you're saying. I'm pushing back on you because if you did not have a 1-drop, you are still not getting max speed anytime soon because this is presumably then your 3-drop. You're not playing it on 2, right? Because it literally does nothing, and then your 2. So don't make that mistake. Don't ever play this on 2 unless you had a 1-drop. Because what you should do is play a 2-drop and then play this on 3 and make your 2-drop unblockable to get to 2 speed. But then you're still getting it to 5 speed or 4 speed on turn 5 after combat. which at least allows it to block, assuming you didn't tap it.
Yep.
But that's still not like early. It being able
maybe you're in Rakdos with the pinger.
It being able to, but you still can only accelerate it once per turn.
I know, but I'm saying like you could do that the last turn to get max speed, so you can still attack.
Oh, before you can, so you can attack. Yeah. I mean, I think generally max speed, best case scenario is turn 5. Like pie in the sky sort of scenario is turn 5, and on average it's going to be like turn 7, even for the decks that are good at it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's how I've been evaluating these cards. Actually, now I'm kind of tying myself back down on it because it's just not being able to block. It can crew.
Yeah, the crewing is really nice.
B to B minus. I'm just like not sure when you're playing it. Maybe you're just like playing it later. Okay, we'll see. It's cool though. I like it. I will say the thing I've liked about this set is it has made me think harder about these cards than most sets.
This is going to be I have no idea what to expect from this limited format because honestly, I did not look at commons and uncommons really. So like after we went through them, I still was just as lost, which normally I have like a better understanding, but like it is going to play very differently. Like blue red not really being a spell slinger thing at all. Like just things are different.
Yeah.
There's not really that much sacrifice stuff going on.
Yeah,
except
outlets,
in like a nutshell of its own.
It's interesting.
Weird.
I have to see how it plays. Maybe they've really stumbled upon something here, but this is definitely not Foundations.
No.
Yeah.
Howl Squad heavy. Kuna red for a Goblin Mercenary 2/3 with start your engines. Other goblins you control have haste. That's good. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, create a goblin. That token attacks this combat if able. And at max speed, you can tap to add red for each goblin you control. I mean, this card's just an A, right?
Nah, it's not that good. It's a 2/3 that makes a 1/1 that's just going to kill itself every turn. Because it has to attack because it has haste. That's why it's not an A. I'm not saying it's like bad, but unless you already had tremendous pressure, and you, in order to maintain tremendous pressure, you have to start attacking with this, as well, because otherwise you just wasted your 3-drop.
Yeah.
So I think this is like a B minus, probably.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Like what is?
I think
just think of your typical.
A lot of goblins.
Your typical game. You're gonna play this on 3. Your 1/1's just gonna die into their 2/2. They're gonna play a 3/3. You're gonna go to turn 4. You're gonna play a 4-drop. This is going to do exactly nothing except make another 1/1 because they can't attack because they have a 3/3. Just gonna die into their 2/2 again.
I think this is going to be really good in start your engines decks that you have already started your engine before this, like you do at turn 1 or 2, because then you can just attack in with your 1 or 2 drop and this 1/1 and probably get through damage for your next engine on 3, because it's making this 1/1 goblin on 3 that's attacking.
Correct. So it might get you 1 more proc on it, but you're basically sacrificing turn 3 to do it. Oh, add block. You're sacrificing your turn 3 to do it because it's not.
I think in a speed deck it'll pretty good.
It's not getting through after that, and you're also assuming you started your engines on 1 and 2, and you
might have another goblin to play turn 4 where it's then just attacking through.
If you're not going first, the whole thing you laid out doesn't work. Because then they already have a 2/2 and a 3/3, so you can't attack with your 2-drop, and this still just dies into their 2-drop.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
hey, there's also the 1/1 goblin that pings for 1.
I think a B minus is generous. Generous, and like you don't care about this at all. By the way, the max speed thing.
Yeah.
You don't care about it at all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lower it down. This is a C plus. Maybe. You want to go for more?
No.
C? Okay. Afterburner Expert.
Green.
2 and a green. Woo! Green boy. I feel like we're flying through this.
This card is maybe going to be a thing in other formats.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Afterburner Expert. It looks like Ziggs. Is what it looks like. A very demented Ziggs. I mean, it is Ziggs, right? Actually.
Yeah, kind of.
Afterburner Expert. 2 and a green. Rito, please don't look at this. 4 and it's a 4/2 Goblin Artificer at rare. It exhausts for 2 and 2 green. Put 2 1/1 counters on this creature. Whenever you activate an exhaust ability, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay. So yeah, that's the exhaust builder. That's the exhaust builder. I don't think exhaust will necessarily be good enough to see its way in other formats. Maybe.
With Agatha, Soul Cauldron?
Just
get any other exhaust abilities?
Just need commander.
No. Soul Cauldron's a real deck in
Standard?
I think Modern and Pioneer.
Really?
And Standard. I think it has decks in all three.
I have not played recently. Constructed.
Yeah, and I also want to say they're not like
I don't know about serious
tier decks.
I've pretty regularly look at the top decks of all those formats, and I don't think I've seen Soul Cauldron because that would have really stood out to me.
Okay, fair.
But maybe it's valid. I did hear about it like a little bit right when people decided Soul Cauldron was really good, but I don't think it really like bubbled up to the top. But yeah, obviously Unlimited. This is just craziness. It dies easy, but if you ever exhaust again, then it just comes back, and it at least probably trades with whatever. So
this in multiples is hilarious.
Yeah, I would say if you have 2 other exhaust abilities, this is just like a B to B plus. If you have like 6 other exhaust abilities, this is probably like an A minus. It's just like, what are the chances that you get it back once, right? If you get it back twice, it's crazy.
And if you get it back 3 times, it's unbeatable, right?
Yeah,
like
more or less. Or you can still
there
like,
also
die
hasn't
in
been
the air or something.
Exile really effects.
There has not been very much exile. That is true.
There's Oblivion Ring effects essentially, but that's about it.
Yep. So yeah, this ranges from like a B to an A minus.
Does cut down exile the creature?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, just destroys.
Cut down doesn't kill this either, because it's 6 total. Cut down is 5 or less.
Yeah, 5 or less. Fair. Ooh, Aganosaurus Rex. 3 and 2 green for an 8/8 trample at 5.
Big roar.
8/8 trample for 5. Cycles for 2 and a green, and when you cycle this card, put 2 1/1 counters on up to 1 target creature or vehicle. It gains trample and indestructible this turn. So this is an instant speed, uncounterable protection and permanent 1/1 counter.
2 1/1 counters.
Whilst
2 1/1 counters.
Oh, I'm sorry. 2 1/1 counters, and it's creature or vehicle
and trample
and trample, and it's just merely an 8/8 trample for 5.
This is the card to travel back in time to like the days of Invasion and be like, "This is Magic in 2025.
This is a real creature, and this is what cycling is."
You showed someone that, they'd be like, "And I'm selling all my cards," and you'd be like, "No, wait 20 years."
Yeah,
it's better. Yeah, this.
Yeah,
I think
this is an AA, right? Like.
Yeah, and I think this actually. I think this does have chances in other formats.
Yeah, I agree.
Because of the cycling, I think the cycling is so strong. I wish it was indestructible and hexproof. I really don't. But the only thing I think that keeps us from being like truly outrageous is that there's just exile is so prevalent, right? In Constructed.
Yeah.
But so like in Constructed, this is basically an exile check. Because 2 1/1 counters, trample, and indestructible, that is just a beating. And an 8/8 trample for 5 is also just like, I even think, good enough.
Yeah.
As an option. Good enough as an option. So
Yeah,
I would look for a constructed deck that had like valuable small creatures it wanted to keep alive for whatever
yeah.
reason. Um, so yeah, I don't know.
A
I
trample
kind of
for
want to try
5.
this. Yeah, but
Yeah.
for sure an A and limited. This is just a grown test. It's so strong. And I would
Oh my
say
god, yeah.
on average though, I still think you're cycling this. Even how broken an 8/8 trample for 5 is, I still think I'm
Yeah.
more often looking to cycle this than not because I want it to just eat a card and make something huge, you know. That just seems better.
Yeah. Also, once again, very good at getting you early game towards max speed if you're doing that in green red or something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because I like trample's ridiculous.
Speaking of
Baby.
a good boy that you want to keep
Yeah,
safe,
goodest boy.
the district mascot. He's a 1 green dog mount, rare 0/0. It enters with a 1/1 counter on it. You can pay 1 and a green to remove 2/1 counters from this creature to destroy target artifact. That's good text. And whenever this creature attacks while saddled, you put a 1/1 counter on it. And it saddles for 1, which is very low. So yeah, this card's good. This does make me think about some hardened scale shenanigans just because of like how prevalent artifacts are in older formats, and like just being able to dump a
Yeah.
bunch of 1/1 counters on this. That's
Yeah.
probably actually why they made it cost 2, because like imagine it was actually free. Like I wonder if they played with the idea
Oh
of
my
just
god, yeah.
making like the because removing 2/1 counters is like quite
Remove
a
2
cost.
counters.
Like that's quite a cost
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
think about it. So like, what if they're like, what if we made
Yeah.
it free? And then they're like, no, that would just actually hose like modern too much or something.
Yeah.
Um,
In old
old formats.
formats for sure.
So yeah, in limited, I mean artifacts are also super prevalent. So this card is both a threat to run away with the game and nuke your board, but is obviously like. So this is also neat. I was gonna say it's obviously so much worse in the late game, but it's kind of not because they allowed everything to happen here at instant speed. So you're basically guaranteed to be able to get it to 2/1 counters once, right? So you can
Yeah.
saddle it, declare it as an attacker, it gets the counter, and then you can basically sack it by paying 1 and a green to blow up an artifact. So it always is
Yeah.
able to blow up an artifact.
Has the ability.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the turn after it comes into play, assuming they don't kill it because it has to be able to attack.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
especially in this set, is this just an A minus? Like
yeah, I think A minus is totally fair. I think an A minus is fair because it doesn't have the fail case of just never being able to affect the board really, and it has the
yeah,
success case
yeah.
of single handedly winning the game. So
Yeah, the fact that this is essentially tap one of your other creatures and destroy an artifact for 3 is pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah, 1 and then 2, whatever. So yeah, yeah, I think it's an A minus. He's a good boy.
Yeah, A minus.
He's a good
He's a
boy.
good boy.
That's an awesome name.
Lumbering World Wagon. I also like this art. 2 and a green for a star for artifact vehicle. This vehicle's power is equal to the number of lands you control. Whenever this vehicle enters or attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Oh, baby.
But you missed the part that makes it bad. Its crew is 4. So
Yeah.
that's kind of all it is. It's kind of just a very bad rampant growth.
Yeah.
In limited, it still might be playable, assuming you have other
I
ways
think in limited it'll still be fine.
to stay alive. But like you're very interested. Like you basically have to play a 4-drop next turn
Yeah.
because like you're not crewing this with your 1 and 2 drop. Like it's possible, but unlikely.
Theoretically in green you are, or you're exhausting something to make it bigger, so it can crew this.
I mean, not when you're playing this.
No, but
Um,
I'm saying the next turn. Like you
yeah,
said, you better be playing a 4-drop. I think in green there's a lot of ways to have a 4 power or something
I would play
turn
this in
4,
limited.
especially if you're ramping turn 3.
I would
Yeah,
play
I'll
this
play
in
this.
limited in
I don't
green.
think it's broken or anything. I think it's like a C plus.
I mean, I'm just kind of worried about. So, like, I'm worried about this situation because you like to be on the other side of this with all your, like, crazy speed talk, right? So let's say you're going second, and your opponent goes turn 2, a 2/2 that like starts your engines, and you're like, okay, my 2 drop, and then turn 3, they're just like 3/3. You playing this on your turn 3? Good luck. You know, like, are
Yeah,
you winning that game? I don't know.
maybe, maybe.
I
Depends
don't know.
on what your 4-drop is. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. You better good 4 drop. Um,
yeah.
if you play
I just feel
this.
like in exhaust, like you're gonna want a lot of mana, but like quickly your creatures get out of hand if you can. So
Well,
like,
well, first of all, what are we saying? We mean good 5 drop because this accelerates you. There is no
yeah,
4
yeah,
drop.
yeah, 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 fair.
Yeah, I still just think this is like kind of mid. I think it's honestly like a C. I think it's a C, and depending how the format shakes out, it's either like unplayable or it's actually like a C plus B minus. Um,
Yeah, because if this gets you 3 lands, 2 to 3 lands, pretty good, right?
if you were able to attack with this, I'd be thrilled for your game state. That's my response, because that means that on turn 4 you're playing your 4 or 5 drop and tapping it and tapping this. So you're completely shields down after effectively skipping turn 3. Your opponent must just not be playing.
Well, theoretically, I mean, theoretically, turn 4, this is a 5/4 attacking. That's
So
not nothing.
so
It's not nothing.
you're
It's all.
you're completely tapped out. You skip turn 3. Saying
Yeah, we'll see.
for your
We'll
opponents
see.
for your opponent to not be happy with that, they would have to, not be playing. Yeah, well, like I said, I think it's I'm starting at a C. I mean, I'm playing this in 5 color green, like I've said that I'm going to do. We're
Oh, for
talking about the
sure,
commons and
for sure.
uncommons, and I'm losing a lot with that deck.
Oh no.
March of the World Ooze. 3 and 3 green for an enchantment. Creatures you control have base power and toughness 6/6 and are oozes in addition to their other types. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if it's not their turn, you create a 3/3 green elephant creature token. That is actually a 6/6 ooze elephant.
Yeah.
Um, so making everything I have a 6/6. Is that worth 6 mana? Because my opponent's just not going to, cast instance. Uh,
Yeah.
once you play this, it's 3 green. This is a get. I feel like this is pretty much unplayable, right? Like this is
No,
borderline.
I think this is. I
How
think
many
this is like
pilots can you make?
a a D.
How many Thopters and pilots can you make? If
Not that many in green. In green, the
well, a
least.
green and
At
something.
least.
It is just 3 green. I mean, it's 3 green turn 6. So as long as you're base green and you can make Thopters, because those Thopters are going to keep
I
flying.
mean,
So there's six sixes.
this is hilarious with the green black card that we haven't seen yet, but you will see us
Oh,
see
oh yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
makes a bunch of 1/1 insects
Insects.
based on the amount of things you exile out of your graveyard.
Yeah. I mean, I still like them more with Thopters because they fly. But yeah, it's good with anything that makes a bunch of 1/1s for sure. Obviously. I'm thinking in Simic I might actually like play this. Like depending on
Also,
how many
doesn't the
ways
insect she make fly? I think she makes
they
1/1
don't.
flying insects.
No. No. No, they
Oh,
don't.
womp womp.
Um so yeah, specific the only way that I'm playing this is if I'm in some sort of control-y Simic deck, or even like a mid-range go wide Selesnya deck that can make pilots and orthopters, and then
Yeah.
I'll consider it. But it's funny.
Yeah, Selesnya, based on what we saw, even though white obviously can make pilots and shit out stuff, like I felt like Selesnya specifically was into like vehicles and mounts, which some of the vehicles would make them, but we'll see. We'll just have to
Yeah,
see.
it didn't
I
seem like
think
there
this
was
is
that
probably most
much
likely
good support.
unplayable.
I think it's most likely unplayable. But a super build around like B. If you really get there. Alright, here
Oh,
we go.
Ovia, Auto Mech Artisan, 3 and a green. for a legendary creature, human artificer. It's a 1/2. Each creature that's attacking one of your opponents has trample, and for a green and tap it, you may put a creature vehicle card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you put an artifact on the battlefield this way, put 2 1/1 counters on it.
So the sweet story of this is Gabriel came to me and he was
Yeah.
like, read this card. And I was like, yeah, it's Elvish Piper. And he was like, yeah, it's crazy. And I'm like, oh, that's sweet. Because little Thomas, when he was first playing Magic, he was like, Elvish Piper's insane. And this older tournament player in like 1997 was like, it dies to shock. And I was like,
Yeah.
it does die to shock. And that
There
was
are multiple
hilarious.
things that can ping this in this set for sure.
And so
And it dies to the -2/-2 black bauble.
the actual irony of that story is that it dying to shock is not why it's bad. It's actually bad, completely unplayably bad, for an entire another reason. Because you are investing an entire card and another mana your next turn in order to cheat something into play. So you're not getting this card back from doing that. So this is just negative card advantage to maybe get to cheat some amount of mana for another card that you have to already have in your hand, and it puts it into play rather than even getting play triggers. So like it doesn't even work with like Eldrazi, because you're not going to get like the best part of the Eldrazi play triggers, the cast triggers. So yeah, you have to already have something in your hand worth cheating into play, that's worth investing 5 total mana into to skip a turn and go down a card. And it dies to shock.
And it only gets the counters if it's an artifact.
Right. And it can't even cheat artifacts into play, just vehicles. Like if you can cheat artifacts into play, that almost be tempting with like Planar Portal or whatever, like that. You know, a couple of the ones we've seen recently, like that's worth cheating into play.
Yeah, Portal to Phyrexia. Yeah.
Now this also just has static trample, which actually isn't bad.
Yeah, static trample's not bad.
If this was just a little bit, if they had toyed around with making this a 2/4, I'd be kind of tempted, you know, because I'm like, hey, it's a creature itself, you know, but a 1/2 is not a creature itself. It's just not.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not playing this.
Maybe this is okay, like only as an only playable in like exhaust decks where you can like cheat something in and then pay the exhaust immediately to get the value off of it faster.
Maybe I was gonna say
like
if you just had a ton of vehicles, if you were very artifact heavy, where you're not even you're basically just looking for this to burst like the next turn. So like turn 5, you're like 4-drop and a boosted vehicle, you know, that I cheated into play. Which white like Selesnya maybe, because like we saw that other broken rare, like obviously cheating that into play is crazy.
Yeah, there's a ton of good white ones.
The Oblivion Ring is a vehicle.
Yeah,
right? So like that's really good to cheat into play.
And that's just when it enters. Yeah.
I could even see taking this early for fun and just trying to like force that. Just be very cognizant that you want vehicles.
So this can be good, but most of the time it is just actively bad.
In limited, really talking about it being bad was more for constructed. But yeah, in limited, it is also normally bad. But this is maybe the best Elvish Piper for limited. Yeah. So I would say fun build around C+. If you have
also if you do have some bigger butt things, or maybe you exhausted something on 3 to make it bigger, this coming in and giving it trample to like maybe get you to max speed could be good.
I was gonna say I actually take it back even further. You just need artifact creatures, because it doesn't have to be a vehicle. It can just be an artifact creature. Then just immediately makes it bigger, creature. Which again white has. So, and you know all the colors kind of have some of them. What was that? I accidentally cursed it over. Hilarious art.
Yeah, that art is wild.
Hey, the piss actually works on this one.
It does. It does.
Shocking. Not on that one. Huh?
Can't really see it where you have your cursor.
Oh, sorry. Let's look on my screen. My bad. All right. Regal Imperiosaur. 1 green for a 5/4. other dinosaurs. You control gain +1/+1. I do love that they made what I presume is one of the first ever dinosaur lords, a
It is the only
non-legendary.
dinosaur lord.
Okay, a non-legendary 5/4 for 30.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
give. I'm sure they wanted to
Agreed.
give it trample, and they were like, "That's too good." It's too good.
Yeah, for sure.
Because baby, in standard, if this had trample, baby, standard. Turn 1 Llanowar Elf. Turn 2 Regal Imperial Sword. Turn 3 Regal Imperial Sword.
Yeah,
Get
that would be hard to deal with.
I mean, you're still gonna
There
see
are,
at an FNM near you.
including this, there are including this 6 dinosaurs in this set.
Yeah, that 8/8 was one of them.
Well, the 8/8. Then there's also the common cycler, the 6/6 reach that gains you life.
Yeah, that was good.
The uncommon dinosaur dragon mount. That's a 6-drop flying haste that deals 2 damage whenever it's saddled. And then the green and red legendary basic creatures with no other text.
Oh yeah.
The 6-drop 9/7 and the 2-drop 4/1.
I'm kind of interested in this for standard, honestly. I just love the idea of playing a 5/4 with no drawbacks on turn 2. With Llanowar Elves. Like, I live for that, so I'm probably gonna do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'm gonna I'm gonna go to my
See
FNM
it.
as like a hardcore player, but with only fun decks like this. I'm just gonna roll
Yeah,
in there
yeah.
with
I
some,
would love to see that.
just try to cheese
You'll
people.
upset some people,
Yeah, oh yeah,
certainly.
you can win. You can win. It's like playing
Yeah,
Light Paws in
you
Modern.
just put monstrous rage on this. Just monstrous rage this on
Exactly.
turn.
That's huge. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, that's
+2
hard to deal
+0 and
with.
trample or whatever. No, plus. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Is it? I think it's +2/+1, right?
Yeah,
Isn't it a
whatever.
1/1
It's
counter and
it's
+1/+0 or something like that?
it's good.
It's broken, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um. So yeah, this actually could see play with stuff like what you just said, because that card's already
yeah,
seen play in some red
right.
decks, like mono red decks. So maybe there's like some crazy Gruul stuff out there. Gruul surfaces every once in a while in standard and is oppressive. Yeah, in limited, this is a B+, right?
Yeah, it's just a super solid card.
You need to be heavy green,
It's a
but
5/4 for 3.
yeah, that's doing work.
Yeah, turn 4, you just play the woman that gives it trample.
Oh yeah, yeah. You play the Elvish Piper that gives it trample. That's what you mean?
Oh, Thomas, this is the vehicle she is riding. The green-black vehicle that she's riding.
Oh,
The
the one that's on her last ride.
Yes, the one that's on her last
This
ride.
this art's amazing as well, man. This art is fantastic.
Yeah,
Um,
yes.
Thunderous Velocipede. 1 green for an
Excellent,
artifact vehicle.
excellent name.
5/5 mythic. Trample. 3 mana 5/5 trample. Each other vehicle and creature you control enters with an additional 1/1 counter on it if its mana value is 4 or less. Otherwise, it enters with 3 additional 1/1 counters on it. That's right. The otherwise, like the oh, you didn't do the thing, is you did the thing 3 times.
Yeah,
And that's all on a 5/5 trample for 3 with crew 3. It does have crew 3, which is 1 pilot. Exactly 1 pilot on her last ride. We've also seen some 3/1s. We've seen a 3/1 that can crew stuff and give it flying when it does in white. That was a white uncommon. Which is obviously
yep.
absolutely nuts cuckoo with this. And the fact that it just is shitting out counters like crazy
For fun.
is pretty incredible. So it makes your 4-drop 1 bigger, and then it makes your 5-drop 3 bigger. Yeah, this is an A. I don't think it's
Yeah,
an
this
A
is an
plus
A.
quite, but it's rough. I mean, just as an artifact, it's good. If it was never a
Yeah,
creature, it's good. But it's like too good at being a
yeah,
creature to not make it a creature. So you probably are risking it
yeah,
and getting it in there. But it's still probably you're probably playing before combat, right? Your turn 4 is you play
yes.
something first. It'd be pretty sick if you managed to accelerate before this too, though, so that you actually do get to play a 5-drop on 4 somehow.
Yeah, that would be
Well, which
nice.
in standard, again, let's talk about standard now that we have Llanowar Elves. This on 2 And then on 3, you have the ability. Wait, so this on 3 it would still just be a 4-drop. At that, yeah, it would still just be a 4-drop. It's still pretty good.
Still pretty good.
Yep. Yeah. A unlimited though. Your go.
Ooh. Web Strike Elite, 2 green for a 3/3 reach. And it has cycling X and 2 green. When you cycle this card, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment with mana value X. So you might have to pay a lot to kill something big, but this is an insane upside that you get to discard and redraw a card and kill something for just the cost of the mana that they paid for it.
And 2 green.
And 2 green. So
yep.
I mean, this card is just an A, especially in this set.
This is where I theorized when we first saw this card that it would have been too good if it was just 1 green in the cycling cost in older formats.
Yes.
Because it's like I pay 1 green mana, uncounterable at instant speed, blow up your Mox Opal, I draw a card. Like that.
Yeah.
And the difference between 1 and 2 is huge, especially in older formats.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if actually how playable out of the sideboard this is at costing 2 green to get a 0 cost.
This is very good.
Yeah. In limited, this again is very heavy green, but good. And in limited, the cycling is also very good because there's a lot of artifacts. So I would almost think you're more apt to cycle this in limited.
What'd you say again?
I would say you're probably more likely to cycle this in limited as well.
Oh, I agree. I think this is almost always going to be cycled because the value is just so massive.
Yeah, so if we just evaluate it as like an uncounterable cycling spell that can basically 3-for-1 your opponent, it's probably an A, actually.
Yeah, fair.
I'll say it's an A- just because it's like a little hard to cast and your opponent isn't going to necessarily have like a true 3-for-1's worth of targets. But it could happen. And then your opponent has complaint equity. I feel like there's a lot of blowouts that we've gone over. Oh, out of check!
Yeah. Atchik.
Emerald Radian.
Also, this woman has a story. She is on her last race before she goes back to her plane and is officially crystallined into a vehicle, an insect vehicle.
And then someone else rides her. Like, is she riding the previous champion?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh, that's actually kind of sick. Wow, thanks for that. Appreciate that insight into the lore. That's what Gabe's here for. Those lore insights. All right, so
the nitty gritty, baby.
That's right. 3 black, and green, so 6 total for a legendary creature, Insect Druid. When Atchik enters, create a 1/1 green insect creature token for each artifact and/or creature in your graveyard. So like 2 or 3 or maybe 4. And whenever another insect you control dies, it gets a 1/1 counter, and each opponent loses 1 life. Which, as we've always said, does get you closer to max speed. Oh, if you care about what the new mechanics are, just look at the other video.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, there is a ton of mill in green and black, specifically in green.
True.
But there was definitely in both. There's a ton of cycling. So like this could hit a lot of stuff.
Okay, so here's the question: How many?
There's only 3 other insects.
How many 1/1s do you have to get before you're excited about this?
5.
5? You need 5 things in your graveyard to be excited? It's pretty good.
4.
It's pretty good if you get 5. Yeah, I think 3 is kind of par, right? Because that basically makes it a 6/6.
You said excited. When am I excited? If I'm making 5,
I agree with
I'm excited.
I agree with you. I acted surprised, but I agree with you because 3 is par, right? 3 is like
3 is the bare minimum.
If you get 3 things, this is like a B. Maybe better. No, it's a B plus. Even at 3, it's a B plus. Like if that was an uncommon, I feel like I was about to just penalize it for being a rare. If it was an uncommon that was a 3/3 and gave me 3 1/1s, but then also eventually became a 6/6, and my opponent lost life, It does have a hardened casting cost. Maybe the casting cost gets it down from a B plus to a B at 3.
Also,
Still pretty
I
good.
will say, like, if for some reason you can't, which it doesn't really, I mean, so the only sacrifice payoffs have been specifically artifacts. Um, so you can't really sack these insect. Oh, it does say
There's been
creatures or
some.
artifacts usually.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
there's
guess
some
these
things
would
that care
become
about
nice
creatures.
fodder for sacking.
Yeah,
Because this gets 1/1s
sure.
from it
As one
anyway.
ones typically are. Um, yeah, there's definitely some things that would sack the creatures. So yeah, I would say this is probably a B plus, mainly just slightly discounted for its casting cost at 3. At 2,
Yeah.
it's definitely it's still okay, but I'm not happy. But like you said, 4 or 5, I mean, this is pretty pushed. So I guess in general, this is
Yeah.
probably just
Yeah.
a B plus. Like its casting cost is its main downside.
Yeah. I'll give it a I'll give it a B to B plus because I think there's gonna be some times where this just is a dead card in your hand for a while.
Well, because it costs 6, sure, it's
I
dead
know
for
it's
a
never
while, but
dead,
like
but yeah.
I would be shocked if
Like
you didn't at least have two things. At least have
how
two things.
consistently on 6 are you getting at least 3 is the question for me
Oh,
rating this card. So
yeah,
I'm gonna say a
that's fair.
B, maybe
That's
it's a B plus.
fairly consistently, I would think. And if you really do mill, to your own point, I feel like we've almost flipped on this from what we talked about it last night. We spent way too much time on it
Yeah.
because it's not that interesting of a card. But if you did
Yeah.
actually have like a mill centric aspect and you do some trading like up to this, you could realistically have 6
Y-
on turn 6.
Oh
Like
yeah.
not that hard. Not
In
like
which case this is ridiculous.
yeah,
Yeah.
that just means like you mill 4 and trade twice, or even you mill 3 and trade 3 times. I mean that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this is like
Yeah, that's fair.
then this is an A, you know. But
Yeah.
imagine how hard it would be for your opponent to win if this thing makes 6 plus, because that means they're losing 6 life unless they kill you in the air, right?
Yeah.
Like because they're just gonna block, and
Right.
then this is gonna be a 9/9. But
Yeah.
you just have to. I guess this dies to any removal because it's 3 health or some amount of removal.
Or we've done her.
Yeah. I stopped and started. So. Oh,
Right.
next. Wait, who was it?
Oh, this is you.
This is me. All right. So I'm not really high on any of the Gear Hulks, so let me evaluate this one. Bright Glass Gear Hulk. 2 green and 2 white. Hard to cast. It's an artifact creature construct mythic 4/4. First strike trample. When this creature enters, you may search your library for up to 2 artifact creature and or enchantment cards with mana value 1 or less. Reveal them and put them into your hand and then shuffle. I get 2 1-drops out of my deck. I mean, a first strike trample 4/4 for 4. That's great. That's like
That's great.
B plus. Just straight up a B plus probably.
It's just hard to cast.
Now I would obviously have to go look at how many 1-drops I have in my deck to see if it does much more than
Yeah.
that. I always go back to that the black 1-drop like artifact removal spell would be the most interesting thing, but again, there's no way I'm playing that with this mana cost. Unless I'm in like a real hardy 5-color green with a lot of mana flexibility. So I think this is a B plus. I don't think this is much better than a B plus.
Yeah.
If you are specifically an even Selesnya or green with a lot of fixing, but we have not seen a lot of fixing. They're all dual lands, like you said, but there's just a side. Also, here I actually make an argument against the mana fixing in this set. You ready for this? I thought about this last night actually as I was going to bed. Yes, there are dual lands. However, there are all 10 in one set, which means the frequency of finding any individual one is less
that you need.
than the ones that only have 5.
Yeah, that's fair.
For like two color pairs. I guess we also get the rare, but the rares are just the enemy ones, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
So that does not help this because this is Selesnya, which is friends. So yeah, I have to
There is at least one of the ones that you can choose a color as it enters.
See, here's my problem with this. If I open this pack 1, pick 1, I'm like actually kind of upset because I don't think this is like good enough to be like,
Right.
I'm full Selesnya no matter what, or my first pick is
Right.
unplayable. You know, I guess
Yeah.
then you also just try to find the best
And
possible
then
one
build toward
drops.
it, but
But again, I just keep thinking of black. I think of the 1/1 Death Touch in black that also has like the life damage that it can do, like the reach that it can do, that one drop, like in artifact again. Those are the things that I'm thinking
yeah.
about. I can't really think of any like green
Hey,
or
in
white one.
Commander, going to get Soul Ring and maybe one day again Mana Crypt.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty
And
funny.
it has to specifically be one. So you can get Soul Ring and Mana Vault. There you go. Mana Vault.
It's one or less. It's one or less.
Oh, it is one or less. Okay, fair, fair. Hey, you get Urza Saga. That's actually
Oh,
pretty good because
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
is an enchantment. There's an enchantment with
Right.
mana value 0.
That
So
also cares about artifacts.
maybe Jeweled Lotus in someday. Someday. Yeah, so actually in Commander, getting Urza Saga with this is like, that's pretty cool. That's
Yeah,
pretty
and just
cool.
any of your other good artifacts.
Yeah.
One or less drop artifacts. Mox, opals,
But again, in
Moxen in general.
I think this is just like a B. This is a B plus, assuming you're just straight up Selesnya.
Yep.
Or if you have like some broken one drops in rares, that we have seen some good. There's like that one good white rare, pretty good. Or like the good boy. If you have like the white rare one drop and the green rare one drop, you're
Oh
doing
my
it.
god, yeah.
You're living right. Get them both.
That's upsetting.
Yeah.
Oh, Captain Howler Sea Scourge.
I love
2
these
blue and a
sharks.
red. For legendary creature Shark Pirate. It's a 5/4 with ward 2 and pay 2 life. It's a lot of ward. Whenever you discard one or more cards, target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn for each card discarded this way. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player this turn, you draw a card. That's pretty good. This is hilarious
Yeah,
with a flyer.
this is one of the
Oh
cards
my god, this is broken.
because like we said in the commons and uncommons, like we read through a lot of the rares and mythics and we're like, man, discarding as a payoff is really a theme. And then we go through all the commons and uncommons, it's like not. It's like 2 total
Yeah, yeah.
payoffs or something, but they're all at rare.
But interestingly, having so many cycling cards also gets you to your payouts more efficiently.
Mm-hmm. So even obviously the turn you play this, it can trigger because it doesn't require combat or
Yeah.
anything. And it can also target itself in the future.
Yep.
And it is very painful to target with removal. So I think all those things together make this like maybe an A minus.
Yeah, I think it's a B plus to an A minus.
And I think generally,
Leaning towards A minus.
actually, yeah, no, I actually think it's a solid A minus because with cycling being instant, it's a total combat trick. Like you don't have to. You wait
Ooh.
to see how they block and then you do it. So yeah, it's like an A minus
Yeah,
turning
because
to
the
an
draw,
A.
the draw. Yeah. That's insane, actually. Yeah, turn literally all of your channels become.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
So if you
Also
have like two
there's even
cycles,
like the other channels that get you other value too. Like that's
yeah,
craziness.
and you can just use it straight up as like a combat trick to trade too. Like imagine you attack with this and 2 other things, and they're like they have to block this to kill it. And you have 2 cycle, and you're like, okay, just take 4 more damage and I'll draw 2. Or maybe they try to
Yeah.
eat another one of your creatures and block that. Like you have 3 things, right? This, and 2 other creatures. They try to eat one of your creatures and trade with this, and you're like, okay, you're gonna trade with that. My other creature actually trades, and I draw a card, and you take 2 more. Like all of these are good things. So yeah, this is like an
Yeah,
A
it is
actually.
crazy that yeah, it's crazy that you can give multiple creatures the +2/+0 and draw multiple cards too.
If I had this card, I am probably putting off color cycling 2 cards in my deck.
Yeah, for sure.
Like a couple of them.
Maybe this is the dream for the 5-color cycling. 5-color cycling, green ramp.
Yeah. Oh,
You're
five color
just super
green is gonna
control-y
happen.
values. Just play every rare that you pull.
What was that set? What was the recent? set that we were playing where I was it Foundations that had gates in it? Like you hadn't seen gates before, and I was like, no, 5-color green's a thing, and I just kept forcing it every time.
Yeah, yeah.
Was that
I don't think it
Foundations?
was.
It was some.
No, I think that was Modern Horizons,
No, I don't think they put gates in Modern
wasn't it?
Horizons. Maybe it was Return to Dominaria. I don't know. Return to
No,
Ravnica.
it wasn't that long ago.
Return to Ravnica was just happened, and
I
Ravnica is
don't
where
know.
there were guilds. Anyway,
I don't remember.
that was fun. I just did 5-color green every time, and it almost won every time.
Whew.
Caradora.
Yeah.
Caradora,
Yeah.
Heart of Alacria. 2
Yeah, this is one of the planes that we hadn't seen.
a green and
Alacria.
a yeah, that's the new one, right? 2 a green. This is also incredible art. 2 a green and a white for a 4/2 legendary creature, Human Knight. When it enters, you may search the library for a mount or vehicle card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. That is a nuts text. If
Whoa.
if one or more 1/1 counters would be put on a creature or vehicle you control, but that many +1 counters are put on instead. Okay, whatever. That's actually good with like some of the exhaust stuff we've seen, right? Or
Yeah, for sure.
our good boy. Our good boy becomes the bestest boy.
It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen a decent things that actually put some counters on them. So,
Ooh, saddling the goodest boy with the guy that gives it flying, the pilot that would give
oh
it
yeah,
flying.
there you go. But no, this is just fantastic because it just fetches your best mount or vehicle. It's a 4/2 for 4. Like a 4/2 for 4 isn't great, but just tutoring your best mount or vehicle, which you guaranteed to have several targets for, is just fantastic. So this is like an A.
Yeah, this is an A. This is an A. A 4/2 that just gets the best thing in your deck for sure, and maybe
maybe
the
not
rest
the
is just
best
upside.
thing. Maybe not the best thing.
Maybe
If it was any creature,
maybe the best thing.
Yeah. Oh, another Gear Hulk. Time for me to poo-poo it, but you get to read it.
Coal Stroke Gear Hulk. 1, 2 black, and 2 red. So 5 for an artifact creature construct 5/4. Menace Death Touch. And when this creature enters, put target creature with mana value 4 or less from a graveyard from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control with the finality counter on it. That creature gains Menace Death Touch and haste. And at the beginning of the next end step, exile that creature. So I mean I mean, this is specifically, I think, the best in like a really aggressive red black, because this is like a crazy finisher in red black. And it is a 5/4 Menace Death Touch itself, so it's a great attacker when it does attack.
The Death Touch, I feel like, is kind of redundant because they're probably. I mean, if it has Menace, they're very likely to be blocking with 2 things, and they're both dying as well, especially if you're aggressive. If you stall out, then it's better because they can block it with 2 huge things, and then the Death Touch really matters.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, this thing's always able to attack profitably.
Yeah. Yeah, this thing is good.
And they basically can't block the thing it reanimates, right? Because it's going to die anyway.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
This is
to do damage.
This is
going to
pretty
get
good
you max
limited.
speed probably.
And they had to put that qualification on it because otherwise this card, like the 4 or less qualification, because then this card would just be broken because it like reanimate a Traxa or something, you know?
Yeah, something broken.
And I actually hadn't read this one. I think this was the missing one when we were reading them.
Yeah, I think
this one
it is.
This one does stand.
This might be the best of them.
Yeah, this one does stand a chance. I think maybe even in standard, just like you said, in something aggressive, because this thing like reanimates Shieldred. I mean, Shieldred isn't like the best thing to reanimate because it also just has Death Touch, but it costs 4. I'm sure we can find something degenerate that costs 4 to put into play.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is it's still hard for me to say it's better than a B plus just because it's hard to cast. Like A minus, I think is its absolute ceiling.
Yeah, but I think it's strong. I think it's just a
Yeah,
good
it's
card.
not weak.
I'll also give it an A minus.
All right, I'll let you give an A minus, and I'll still say B plus. Debris Beetle. I love all this art. 2 a black and a green for an artifact vehicle 6/6 trample. When this vehicle enters, each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life, and it only crews for 2. What an absolute
Woo.
ass beating of a card.
Woo, baby.
It's like a 6 life swing for 4 mana is almost a spell in itself. It's not,
Yeah.
but it's close. It's close.
And having a 6/6 trample left over is crazy
On turn 4,
on turn 4. That you can most certainly crew and block profitably
yeah,
whatever they would be swinging in with.
I would
Like,
say this has a chance in standard. I mean, maybe not. Maybe like crewing is just unreasonable to assume you could do. I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, crew 2 is low, and
yeah,
it's a good thing Llanowar Elves can't crew this.
seriously.
But a 6 life is really good. Yeah, in
It's a lot.
limited, this is a grown out of 10. This is an A. It's just a flat A.
Yeah, yeah,
God
for
forbid
sure.
you're on the other side of this. You're not blocking this profitably for a while. And even if you remove it,
No.
they still 6 life swung you. And it
It's also
increments
like
speed,
it increments
twice.
speed so
It does.
easily.
Yeah. Guarantees does it once, maybe twice.
Yeah.
Dumb A. You're good.
Explosive Getaway. 3 red and a white for a sorcery. Exile up to 1 target artifact or creature. Return to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Explosive Getaway deals 4 damage to each creature. So it says save something of yours and then deal 4 damage to everything else.
And blink it, so it resets.
So,
It resets
and
exhaust.
blink it.
There's other things that we've seen,
Yep.
especially in the rares, that we've been like blinking. This would be crazy,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like this, but that's 4 different mana colors.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is good.
I think this is good. Yeah, I think this is like a B plus because it is like kind of.
I was gonna say B
Kind
to
of
B
conditional.
plus.
Yeah, it's kind of conditional, but this
Yeah,
is again a can just win you the game. You just play this, you wipe their
for
board.
sure.
Like God forbid you have something that also survives this. Like you have a 5 butt.
Right.
Um actually it doesn't kill any vehicles. Which means you can build around this by putting
No.
vehicles in more vehicles in your deck, but then it's also hard to crew them if you're wiping your creatures.
It could all. I will say, like, if you're in a bad position, I think this is best from a middle board state where like they have vehicles and you have vehicles and you just attack in with everything and then you use like you save one of the things you crewed a vehicle with to wipe their vehicles because they're still
yeah.
crewed that they use to block. So you can still hit vehicles with this. You just have to make sure
People
they've blocked.
people are very rarely blocking with vehicles. If they are, they're very rarely staying alive.
Yeah,
Um,
fair.
so yeah, I'm a little lower on
Yeah,
this.
this is weird. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe it's
no,
like a
now I kind of don't want to play it.
C plus.
Yeah, I just kind of don't want to play it. It might be
They
good.
should have put
I have to
cycling on
see it.
this.
Yeah, I just have to.
This with cycling would be really good, I think.
Yeah, I just have to see it play
Yeah,
out. Far Fortune and Boss. 2 a black and a red for a 4/5 legendary creature, human mercenary. Start your engines. Whenever you attack, Far Fortune deals 1 damage to each opponent, and that's static. So when you play
wow.
them and attack, it will work.
Hey, Thomas, this
This
with the
speed.
the goblin that just makes a 1/1 that's attacking every turn. Play that on 3, play this on 4, win the game.
What does that? What does that matter? It's whenever you attack. It doesn't count each creature.
No, I'm saying, but you don't. You just are attacking with the 1/1s every turn and they're pinging them.
Awful. If a source you control would deal combat damage to an opponent or permanent, an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 1 instead. Okay, that's neat. Okay, that actually makes your game plan more real than the awful that I was saying. Because once the one turns into a two, um, because it will completely get you to max speed by itself, right? Your little
Yeah.
1/1 that you're sacking every turn.
This with Catcher
Pretty
Mouse also
fast.
making little things unblockable.
Yeah, sure, that'd be good too.
Because
Um,
if you're hitting them for if even if you were just able to swing in with one thing at a time and you had Ketramos and this thing out, you're dealing 3 damage with a 2/1 or a 2/2 that's hitting them, and then 2 to this. So that's a 5 life that's unblockable
yeah,
every
sure.
turn.
Yep. So this is also just a 4/5 for 4, which is pretty good. Gets you to
Yeah.
max speed, obviously, really fast. And then once you have max speed, it is broken because it just
Yeah.
makes everything deal 1 more damage. This is an A. Very easy
Yeah.
A.
Very good.
Fearless Swashbuckler. 1, a red and a blue for a fish pirate, 3/3 haste. Vehicles you control have haste. Whenever you attack, if a pirate and a vehicle attack this combat, draw 3 cards and discard 2 cards. That's all very good. A lot of good
That's really
stuff.
good.
Again, the dream here is 1 drop, 2 drop, that's a vehicle, 3 this, Yahtzee. Um,
Yeah.
I mean,
We've
so
seen a good number of pirates. Good pirates.
yeah, if you never trigger the draw clause, this is like a B plus, I think, or a B,
Yeah.
probably just a B. If you do trigger that draw, then it's like a B plus. I guess it's like a B minus to a B if you don't trigger the last one. Once you trigger the last one, it's like a B plus to an A minus. And if you do it twice, I mean, hopefully you've won because that's such a ridiculous amount of card selection. You're digging 6 deep. Like,
Yeah.
please play good
You're
cards.
also you're also probably getting your next start your engines when this card enters on 3 if you're on the play, assuming you're on the play.
And God forbid that you have discards energies
Oh
because
my
that would be
god,
stupid.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes. You,
it,
you
it
you played the 1 drop that gets a 1/1 counter every single time you discard.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, this
That's
has
also a pirate, by the way.
this has outrageous upside. And it's
Yeah.
just an awesome card. I,
Yeah, this card's cool.
there's a pirate vehicle deck in standard game. You'd be for sure playing it, and it's is it.
Oh,
This is your goal.
oh my god, yeah.
Mu
Yeah,
Mu
yeah, yeah,
Mu
yeah. This
Yang
is
Ling and Chandra.
what do they
Let's
to
talk.
do?
Yu Yang Ling is the one that makes the three
Yeah,
two
yeah, yeah.
vehicle. Chandra also makes the 3/2
And they draw you a
vehicles.
card.
And they draw
Yeah,
you a
yeah.
card. Chandra also makes the 3/2 vehicle. So those are your vehicles.
You're
They just
talking you're
play a
talking
bunch
my
of
language,
pirates.
Thomas.
Play a bunch of fast small pirates and this. There you go. It's the deck standard. Here we go.
Oh, baby.
There's
Ketramos.
Ketramos.
This is the money card from the set so far. Ketramos the New Dawn. 1 white and a black for a legendary creature god 4/4. It has menace, lifelink, and indestructible.
Sure.
Those are good stats. Ketramos can't attack or block unless there are 7 or more cards in exile. And whenever 1 or more cards are put into exile from graveyards and or the battlefield during your turn, you draw a card and lose a life. So black had some things that exile things out of your graveyard for value. That was more green than black though. There are several cards that did like exile from. Oh no, but that was their hand.
I think this is the money card. I think this is the money card for older formats where like Dredge exists. So like there's just
Yeah, your exile. You can exile a
yeah,
ton
you
of
just
stuff so
exile a
fast.
ton of stuff for free. It's it's literally used as mana. So like you're like I
Yeah,
dredge something which also draws me a card. And now I have a 4/4 menace lifelink indestructible on turn 4, almost guaranteed.
yeah, that's also drawing me cards when I
Yeah,
cast more of them.
exactly. So I think that's where this card is kind of silly, and then even Commander obviously it can do some
And it's
pretty silly
obviously
stuff.
just good with exile removal.
Yeah. Also good against it, exile removal.
Yeah, yeah, ironically.
In limited, ironically, this is like hard.
Yeah, this is legitimately hard. That's what I'm saying.
Probably
Like
the
in
worst
limited,
one,
like
right?
are you? Yeah, like you're never gonna get to 7 consistently unless you have just every exiling card because like Curse Cloth Wrap would get you there pretty
That's true.
not
That
even
could get you there.
quickly. Like it would for sure get you there though eventually.
But this card does like nothing until then. Nothing.
Right, right, right. There were definitely I can't think of them off the top of my head. There are several
Oh no,
cards that definitely exiled. Gaunty will get you there.
it doesn't. It doesn't actually do nothing. It can still crew or saddle.
It can still crew or saddle, yes.
Ketchum riding into combat.
Yeah, I mean that definitely makes it better, but I mean this is just going to be it's a build around if you can make this work, it's insane.
Yeah. It's
But
a
I just don't
comment
see
down
it
below, a
happening in limited.
screenshot. Uh,
Yeah, if you draft the perfect deck, you can make this work, but
it'd be cool if it did.
it's going to be hard.
Yeah. So this is probably like a D. It's a build around
Yeah,
challenge.
unfortunately.
It's not gradable. It's a pure challenge.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Oh, baby, I'm so excited for this card.
Culloden Triumph Caster are red and a white for a 2/3 legendary creature human pilot. Mounts and vehicles you control have haste. Whenever a mount you control enters, it becomes saddle until end of turn. And whenever a vehicle you control enters, it becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. Yeah, that card's good.
Card is nuts.
It's obviously quite good. And also giving them haste is just it's the good part of that guy that one red vehicle that can bring itself back. It has the same text as
Yeah,
that. Like it
yeah,
has haste and
yeah.
it is when it ETBs. Um so yeah, this feels like an A minus. Because it is just
I think in the right deck this is an A plus, but I think that's only if you're like crazy heavy red white art because like we saw a ton of specifically in red and white the ability to go max vehicles.
that's true. This but yeah.
So you draft 4 of these.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
4 legendary creatures. And then you draw all of them and can only play one
Legendary rares.
and
Yes.
lose the
Yes.
game because you draw all 4 of them and can't play them.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, yeah, it could definitely lead to some like insanely smooth draw rollouts with like overstated vehicles coming at you much earlier than they're supposed to. I still just think
Yeah,
it's an
for
A
sure.
minus
Yeah, I think no, I think it is an A minus
because I can't
for
think
sure.
you can't really build around it. If you do build around it, it's on the mount side, which is obviously less broken because they
Yeah,
are not overstated. Um,
yeah.
because if you do build around a ton of vehicles and then you don't draw this, like now you've reached the vehicle fail case, which is not good. Like, this card, this
Yeah,
card.
this card.
Here we go.
Loot the Pathfinder. 2 green, blue, red. So 5 total. Not that much for a 2/4 double strike vigilance haste. And for green, you can exhaust it, and for green and tap it, add 3 mana of any color. For exhausting it in a blue and tapping it, draw 3 cards. And for red and tapping it and exhausting it, you can deal 3 damage to any target. So you're playing this when you have 6 mana, so that it cannot be removed before you can do any of these abilities.
And you can attack
Um,
and do any of these abilities because it has vigilance on
yes,
6.
yes. Also, it's kind of crazy that like it also enables if you do have anything to protect it with, let's say a cycling dinosaur,
Yeah, that would be
like
crazy.
you
It's a
could
rare, but
you could yeah, you could theoretically still even protect this from being removed with its add 3 mana. So like
that'd be funny.
this card is so insanely cracked and broken.
Yeah, this is one of the
I mean,
most splash. This is like the definition of a card that's worth splashing for. If I'm in any
yes,
2 of these
yeah,
colors, I'm splashing this card every time, and I don't think I'm ever cutting it like out of the splash. It's just so broken.
It's absurdly powerful. This is an A plus. Like this is just
Yeah, this is probably an A plus. It's a little hard to say it's an A plus because it's like you said, it's essentially a 6-drop. Like I would have to be in pretty dire straits to play this on 5.
yeah.
Um, it is even interesting to suggest if it could be worth it in standard. This is what people were talking about Agatha's
Thi-
Soul Cauldron. This was the Soul Cauldron
yeah,
card.
specifically with
Woo!
yeah.
Woohoo!
This with Soul Cauldron is nutsy cuckoo.
Yeah, that there's a lot of mana. Yeah, this is an A plus. I think that's fair. It's like an A to A plus because it is still 3 colors and 6 mana effectively. So it's
Yeah,
probably just an
yeah,
A,
yeah,
but I just like what awesome design. And it's not actually broken. It's just really exciting design.
yeah. It's I mean, but it go like any it goes in every commander deck and in these colors almost.
Yeah, it'd be really good
Almost.
with a Jeweled Lotus.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Uh,
Men-
this is you.
Mendicant Core Guidelight,
Yeah, yeah,
an Azorius, a blue and a white for a legendary artifact creature robot, star 3. Its power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. It starts your engines. And max speed, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 1. If you do, copy it. That's such a funny card. Starting your engines is just like kind of random on this. It's because it has a max speed
it's because
thing.
of the max speed. Yeah, everything that has
I
max
know.
speed will start your engine.
It does count itself, so it is a 1/3 minimum for
I mean, it's
you.
also in flying colors, so like
Yeah.
I don't think it's out of reasonability to get there.
Yeah.
But like,
It's good at starting your
do you
speed.
also once again this if you can like copy the affinity 3/4 flyers,
Yeah.
like there's so many artifacts in blue and white that you can go
Yeah,
crazy
so
with
this is
this.
amazing if you hit max speed for sure. Yeah, I think this is probably like an A minus, honestly. But you do
Yeah,
want to be in flying or like have something that's unblockable or something to
yeah,
really get
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Because I
Because
don't think these
if they
colors are the
don't
best
kill
at
this,
it.
then it's just broken. Yeah, I don't think these colors are the best for sure.
But it also could be a pretty good trader, as long as you have a decent amount of artifacts. It can be like a 4
For
3 for
sure.
2 or whatever. That's fine. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
an
That
A
by
minus.
itself is pretty good. Yeah, that's at worst. Unplayable F. Get it out of my face.
No, you have to read it.
So upset about this card.
You have to read it.
Mimeoplasm, revered one. X black, green, and a blue for a 0/0 ooze. As Mimeoplasm enters exile up to X creature cards from your graveyard, it enters with 3/1/1 counters on it for each creature card exiled this way. And pay 2, Mimeoplasm becomes a copy of a target creature card exiled with it, except it's a 0/0 and has this ability. Um, so
It's a 3 3 for 3.
it's a 3/3 for 3.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about
Um,
this. It's just bad.
it's just bad. It's just unplayable and limited.
Just don't play it. Yep. Oil Deep Gear Hulk. Blue, blue, black, black for a 4/4 construct, lifelink ward 1. When this creature enters, look at target player's hand. You may choose a card from it. If you do, that player discards a card, then draws a card. Um, this is again fine and limited. Like, it's like a B plus. Um, if you can play it. If you're in very heavy
Yeah,
demeanor, it's like a B plus. It's
yeah,
probably better in sealed if you can get them to discard their bomb that they can't reanimate.
right, right.
Um, Obviously that would make it even better. See, I think it's like a B
But
plus, but
it's
it's
a
so hard to play.
B plus. Yeah, I mean,
It's so hard to play. And constructed, this is like a little more important because like disrupting the smoothness of the deck like is an even bigger cost because everyone's deck is so smooth. So like just interrupting
yeah,
their game plan is even better, but not on a. I don't think this would get there for that.
it's not good enough.
Oh,
Yeah.
you get the. I'm ready for this rant. Please read it.
Powerwood Gearhulk, 2 red and 2 green. So 6 for a 7/7 Vigilance Menace, no trample. When this creature enters, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain Vigilance and Menace until end of turn. Damage can't be prevented this turn.
This is how I feel that about like how you feel about the ooze. This is how I feel about this card. I pay 6 mana to get a not like an okay overrun. It's a 6 mana
Yeah.
okayish overrun. Like yeah, at least a 7/7 Vigilance Menace behind, but I guess I'm talking about like constructed or like commander sort of applications. Like in limited, this is a 7/7 Vigilance Menace for 6 that like also pumps your team and gets in there for another combat, which is an amazing card. So it's like
Yeah, it's also awkward because like if you want to, for instance, like pump your vehicles to do this, you're not getting the benefit of the +2/+2 to what would be crewing them, so you might have to crew more things into it than you would otherwise. Sometimes that won't matter, but like
yeah, it's not great with vehicles, but I mean it
it's just
itself is just a 7/7 menace vigilance for 6, which is good
which isn't
and limited.
which is good. Yeah, yeah.
I think this
I
is
mean,
like
this is
an
still a
A
good
minus.
card, but
This is like an A minus in limited, and I think it's just terrible in
yeah,
constructed. There's just
yeah,
so
it's
many.
just terrible everywhere else.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
an A to A
limited this
minus.
goes hard still, but
Yeah, I mean just when it ETBs, like your opponent could just lose the game, right? You have 4 things
yeah,
plus
for
two plus
sure.
two menace
You have a
and
7/7
vigilance.
blocker. It's
Well,
also
everything blocks too
going
because they all
to
have vigilance, so
yeah, yeah,
it's pretty sick.
yeah. That's fair.
All right,
You
Redshift Rocketeer Chief, a Gruul, a green and a red for a 2/3 legendary creature Goblin Pirate. Art's hilarious. It has vigilance, and it can tap to add X mana of any one color where X is Redshift's power. Spend this mana only to activate abilities. And it has exhaust, 10 in a red and a green. Put any number of permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. And that can be done at instant speed, which is pretty funny. Um, so it's good with cycling. It's good with exhaust, obviously. It can attack and
yeah.
use its ability, which is also good. And you can turn your pump spells mana positive by making this thing bigger in combat. Because pump spells always cost less than the power and toughness they give. Obviously, putting 1/1 counters on this thing is pretty sick. Yeah, this is like an A minus,
I
I
mean, this
think.
also getting yeah, yeah. This getting to attack and then tap for mana, so good.
I mean, it's hard to cast, but
Yeah, sure.
if you're in just an even Gruul, but yeah, I think this is like an A minus. Just a 2/3 vigilance for 2 is like kind of wild, and the fact they can
Yeah,
really
it
smooth
is.
out like just completely running over your opponent with boosted exhaust or like
Yeah, yeah.
cycling for free basically immediately. It does the 2 cost cyclings for free.
Or if you don't have exhaust to pay into, just having something that can attack to get you towards max speed, but will also block
Yeah,
them from getting max speed.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's good. Oh, you get another Gear Hulk.
Ooh, Riptide Gearhulk. 1, 2 white, 2 blue. So 5 for a 2/5 double strike with prowess. It's also an artifact creature. When this creature enters, for each opponent, put up to 1 target non-land permanent that player controls into its owner's library, third from the top.
Pretty
So
good
it's
removal.
just really good removal, and 2/5 double strike is fine, but the prowess does make it interesting because that's instant speed. So
Yeah,
this could really blow them out.
once again, I hate this in everything but limited because I can't think of a single Azorius deck that's interested in just paying a 5-mana sorcery, but then also
Yeah.
caring about prowess.
Yeah.
But it is good removal, and it's any non-land permanent. So like, and it is a threat itself. It does have to be dealt with, and it's got kind of a big butt.
Yeah, it certainly does.
So yeah, unlimited though, I think this is completely
Yeah,
outrageous
this is
and
not.
limited.
This is completely outrageous.
This is
It's
just
an
an
A
A.
minus.
I
A,
think this is just an A.
an A straight up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
straight up an A.
Yeah, just straight up good removal and a insane body.
And presumably a
5.
3/6 double strike, like a 6/6 basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically a 6/6 for 5 that just ETB kill or like gets rid of something for 3 turns and then eats their draw. It's great.
Yeah.
A. A to A plus.
Oh.
Sabsunin Luxa Embodied. 3, a green and a blue for a 6/6 legendary creature god. Reach, trample, indestructible. It can't attack or block unless it has an even number of counters on it at the beginning of your first main phase. And 0 is even. At the beginning of your first main phase, put a 1/1 counter on it. Then, if it has an odd number of counters on it, draw a card. So you have a reach indestructible 6/6 blocker the first turn you play it because it has 0 counters and 0 is even. And the next turn, it becomes a 7/7, but that disables its abilities to attack or block, but you draw 2 cards. They can still crew stuff. And in standard formats, if you do any sort of counter manipulation.
Yes, yeah. If you can add a counter to it before combat or remove a counter before combat, this can then attack. Yeah. Reach trample. And then draws you to the next turn.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you just had a way to add a counter to this every turn, you just get both sides, and it's completely ridiculous.
It's completely out of control.
I think this is an A plus.
Yeah, this is an A plus.
It's
I don't really understand how you, unless you immediately play the -6/-6 on this. I don't know how you beat this.
It's not quite as stupid as Bonnie Paul, but it's closer than I would want any printed card in Limited to be. It's 1 saving grace over. But Bonnie Paul's real stupid problem was that it was a rare. This is a mythic at least.
Yeah, this is a mythic.
Ooh, I like this card.
Samut, the driving force. 3 and Naya, red, green, and a white for a legendary creature human warrior cleric 4/5. First strike, vigilance, haste. Start your engines. Hopefully you have it by now. Other creatures you control get +X/+O, where X is your speed, which is a lot. Non-creature spells you cast cost X less to cast, where X is your speed. So that's a huge reduction. But I mean, this comes down as is a first strike vigilance 4/5, which is a lot, but then also is just buffing your team by 4 theoretically. Also, this doesn't have a max speed, so like it's just always doing this based on your speed. So it's a minimum of +1/+O, and X is 1 less to cast when you play this, even if you have no speed.
Yeah, this even in so if we had graded this the first time I read it, I would have given it a much lower grade than I'm about to, and I even think there's some crazy chance in some format, just because it being able to make non-creature spells cost 4 less is crazy. So I don't know if there's some way to reanimate this or otherwise cheat it into play. I mean, it is only 1 by itself, the X. So, but yeah, in Limited, this is just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, this is ridiculous in Limited.
It's hard to cast though, because of its casting cost and it forcing you into 3 colors. I'm probably just gonna rate it like a B. If this was 2 colors, I would rate it at like an A minus probably.
Yeah, it's still yeah. I mean, I agree. I agree with you.
It does pump itself, by the way.
A 6-drop.
So it is really a 5/5 attacking. It does pump itself. No, it's other. It does not pump itself.
No, it's other. Yeah, I was about to say.
Where they didn't make it a 5/5. Maybe they figured that was too good. But yeah, I think it's just like a B unlimited because of the mana cost. But I'll try to splash it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Seed of Arma, Masked Racer, a green and a blue. I keep getting like just the color pair ones. So a Simic for a 2/3 legendary creature human rogue with exhaust X green green blue. Put X 1/1 counters on Seed of Arma. Then you may have the base power and toughness of each other creature you control become equal to Seed of Arma's power until end of turn. Ah, another shit overrun. So
Yeah.
let's just say 6. At 6, this becomes a 5/6 and makes everything else a 5/6.
Yeah.
In limited, this is again pretty good because like you'll just sink 6 mana into that. And again, it's threat of activation. You don't have to do it.
Right.
But like on turn 6, you know, if you've played, let's just say a 3, 4, and 5 drop, and you're like everything sidewards, they kind of have to block. And then they might still just lose. So yeah, I think this is still like really strong. Again, obviously you have to be in Simic; it's a little hard to cast, but like I think this is at least an A minus in limited.
Really? I think it's a B plus, but yes. I hate it
I mean,
everywhere else, and don't want to
you.
think of it again after this limited.
The only way I think you can say it's a B plus is just because it's like killable.
Yeah,
Because it has
it's a
it has
killable.
3 health.
Yeah, it's just a killable 2/3.
But it also just wins the game by itself.
Yeah, it certainly will win you the game
Imagine
by
if you make
itself.
Thopters
Yeah, yeah.
blue. I mean,
Hey,
I think it's an
there
A
is the
minus.
3-drop. There is the 3-drop. I think uncommon vehicle that just shits out the Thopters.
Well, there's the Simic signpost that makes a Thopter whenever you exhaust.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Winter, Cursed Rider, blue and a black for a legendary creature human warlock 3/2. Its ward pay 2 life, and artifacts you control have ward pay 2 life. Exhaust 2 blue and a black and tap it. Exile X artifact cards from your graveyard. Each other non-artifact creature gets -X on turn. Interesting. So, I mean, if you're in a crazy heavy artifact blue-black deck, this just can be a one-sided board wipe. But that's also assuming they don't have vehicle, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything to vehicles ever, or other non-artifact
Well, it does.
creatures.
Well, this is an instant. Oh, right, because they are artifacts.
They are
Yeah.
artifacts.
Yeah. Um.
So let's just not evaluate the complicated exhaust. Just outside of that, it makes all of your vehicles painful to target, and it is just a 3/2 ward 2 life for 2, which is annoying because they also get taxed. Like it's not like they can kill this and then deal with your vehicles, because at least it's gonna life tax them for killing this as well. So I think this is like a B plus. It's quite strong.
This is just a solid card.
And if you manage to Yahtzee them with having a ton of artifacts and them not, then yeah, it's even better. But that seems unlikely. Zahur, Glory's Past. Awesome art again.
You get the sweetness.
It's an Orzhov. I keep getting just the 2 mana ones. Zombie Cat Warrior, a big sweetness past. It's a 3/2. Start your engines. Sacrifice. There's a sack outlet. Sacrifice another creature. Surveil 1. Activate only once each turn though. And then whenever a non-token creature you control dies, if you have max speed, trade a tap creature. This seems so much worse than that other thing that just makes tap 2/2s.
Chariot.
Yeah, whenever you
just black.
discard a card. That was 4 mana vehicle, like 6/6 or whatever. And it's whenever a non-token dies, which obviously that could allow like an infinite cycle. Not even an infinite cycle, because they limited the top part by only once each turn, but it is just a 3/2 for 2 that starts your engine. So that's what they keep doing with these. Like, the abilities are like kind of pie in the sky, but the baseline power is already so high. You have to be like, it's a B
Yeah.
plus, because of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
baseline power. And we didn't really see like a bunch of sacking stuff that like really matters. So yeah, I still think this is just like a B plus.
Yeah. I agree. Do his
Ooh, you get the basic namesake.
the Aether Spark.
Aether Spark.
4 colorless for a legendary artifact planeswalker equipment, the first of its kind, comes in with 4 loyalty. As long as the Aether Spark is attached to a creature, the Aether Spark can't be attacked and has whenever equipped creature deals combat damage during your turn, put that many loyalty counters on the Aether Spark. For +1, you can attach the Aether Spark to up to 1 target creature you control and put a 1/1 counter on that creature. For -5, you can draw 2 cards. For -10, you can add 10 mana of any one color. So if you can, I mean, if you throw this on a vehicle, does this fall off of a vehicle once it doesn't become a creature? I guess it has to.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's weird. But well, so I mean, this card is weird. I mean, I think it's it when it comes down turn 4, all it's doing is giving a 1/1 counter to something, and you're praying that you can hit them with it.
I mean, I think this card is actually pretty simple. This card is hilariously broken with flyers. Like, just
Yeah,
outrageously broken with flyers. Because, like, putting a 1/1 counter on a
yeah,
flyer is huge, but, like, guaranteed hitting them and getting significantly past
it's
the -5,
yeah.
like,
I mean, we've seen some crazy tramplers that this would work on, but I think it depends on the deck. But I think well, it doesn't have to trample. It just has to deal damage. It will get the counters no matter what. Whenever this equipped creature deals combat
oh,
damage,
oh. Even when we
put
initially
that
talked
many
about this,
loyalty
I didn't
counters.
realize that. I thought it was to
It
your
is
opponent.
always getting the counters no matter what, even if
Okay.
it's blocked. Which makes this better, obviously.
Well, that makes it a lot better. That actually changes my opinion
So
about
if
it for constructed as
yeah,
well, because maybe you can do the -10 then pretty easily.
immediately, yeah.
This makes me think about this actually more like in big green, like in constructed, in like just
Yeah,
some green deck
yeah.
or some gruel deck that's like already beating
Yeah,
you
there's
down.
a
And it's like
chance this is ridiculous and broken.
it's a
Um
massive
in other formats.
Uizama's Jite.
Yeah, yeah,
It's the
yeah,
new
for sure.
Jite. Um,
It's in
in
push
limited,
Jite.
this still I want flyers. And even then it's kind of hard to play because it like doesn't really do anything immediately. Um,
I will say it coming especially if you are on the play and you play this turn 4, I mean, just swinging in with anything and it being bigger is a pretty good value to have.
yeah, but you don't want it to die,
Maybe
otherwise they can kill Aether Spark. Like its only protection is staying on the creature.
yeah, but even if they kill that thing, you probably have at least one other thing to block
Yeah, it depends on the
for
board state.
this.
Depends on the board state, certainly. And they also can always like use removal on your creature to make the Aether Spark vulnerable again. Um,
Yeah.
so again, my favorite thing is just like having a 2/2 flyer and just getting the sucker to 7 like immediately, and be like, you have to kill the
Yeah.
what is now a 3/3 flyer, and then also deal 7 damage to this, which that seems pretty hard to do.
Yeah, I just feel like I think you will oftentimes at least get the draw 2 off of this,
Yeah, but
which I think you'll probably be using the most.
you're kind of skipping turn 4 to do it. Like these cards that demand you basically skip a turn and still maintain being aggressive is just a hard sell. In
Yeah.
limited. Like, do I really believe that?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of. I'm thinking of like turn one or the turn this enters, you're well above 5 after you +1 it. The next turn you
Hopefully.
immediately -5 it, use your value, and then you go up from there because it's just insurmountable card value.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
mean, if you draw 4 off this, you probably win.
Yeah, I would think this is probably like a B minus would be my guess.
Yeah, I think it's a B- to a B because it's just got so many hoops to jump through. But
We'll see.
and
It'll
there are
be
times it's
interesting.
just going to be a completely dead draw off the top of your deck.
Bunch of nothing. Speaking
Yeah.
of a bunch of nothing, Lifecraft Engine. It's a 4/4 for 3 artifact vehicle at rare. When it enters, choose a creature type. Vehicle creatures you control are the chosen type in addition to their types. Each creature you control of the chosen type other than this vehicle gain +1/+1. It's a 4/4 crew 3. So it's a Lord. It becomes a lord of anything you want, and then also makes all your vehicles that type. And its crew 3 isn't bad, especially considering it pumps everything. So I think this is
Yeah.
an A, probably
Yeah, this is just an A. Yeah.
A minus to an A.
Like this is just good in anything that
Yeah, you're
this
like
is going to be
always playing
insane in.
this,
Yeah. Yeah. Literally always.
even if it just like trades for their 4/4. Feels good. Oh, the
Even
market
in
back.
like you could like pilots, declare pilots.
Yep, it's true. Market
Um,
back Walker.
yep. Market back Walker XX artifact creature construct 0/0. This creature enters with X 1/1 counters on it, and pay 4 and put a 1/1 counter on this creature. When this creature dies, draw a card for each 1/1 counter on it.
It's a Walker, all right.
Uh,
So this is
Interesting. I don't think I read this card before. Um,
this
so
card
it's
would go straight in my Shorkai deck
for sure.
because it can do its thing with infinite colorless mana.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
then it needs to draw or it needs to die in order
I
to
mean, it's
draw.
just a different ballista, a different kind of ballista.
Yeah, I mean the Pulse is better because you just win immediately
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
mana.
yeah, 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 yeah. The ballista's better, but in the deck this would be used in. It's essentially just another win con. Um,
In limited though,
in limited though, yeah,
it's a
yeah.
2/2 for 4.
Yeah, which
But when
isn't
you
great,
draw,
but
when
I
I
mean,
draw 2, I don't know. I think it is actually broken in limited. I think it's broken in limited, but you just have to stay alive because like even if you only sink 4 mana into this as a 2/2, if they still have to expend, they kind of have to expend removal to remove it, and then you draw 2 because if they don't, just every turn you're going to be like 3/3. Now I dare you to kill it.
yeah,
4/4. Now I
yeah,
dare
four
you to
four.
kill it. Let me
Yeah,
draw
and then
4.
and it's gonna also really discourage them from attacking in because you don't want them. You
To
don't.
draw.
They
Yeah.
don't want you to block. Yeah, yeah,
Well, again,
yeah.
I
Maybe
think
yeah. So maybe it is just broken.
if you play this at 2, they're still going to attack because they would love it if you traded. Like I'm always attacking
There
if
is
my
also
opponent has
some amount
this.
of threat of activation too.
Yeah, you cannot lose the late game if you're stabilized and you have this in
Yeah,
play because it just gets used,
yeah,
and then
for
if it ever
sure.
dies, there wasn't that much exile. So if it ever dies, then you just get infinite
If they
value.
try to exile it, you sack it with the only 3 sack outlets.
So this isn't a build. This was like an archetypal needs to be a slower deck. But in a slower deck, I think this is like an A minus.
Yeah, yeah. Some of the Demir stuff we talked about.
Oh, it's a rare.
Oh boy.
Is this me? Yeah, this
Yeah,
is me, right? Monument to
yeah, it is.
Endurance. 3 colorless artifact. When you discard a card, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Draw a card. Create a treasure token. Each opponent loses 3 life. This card is interesting with cycling. This is like a cycling build around, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yes, but there is so much cycling. I feel like this is almost always good. And we also saw in other it wasn't just blue-red that was doing like drawing and discarding, even without cycling.
You know,
Obviously, mostly in blue-red, but
I would honestly even be tempted to only use the last ability every turn, not even drawing. Like making draw the secondary one. I'm talking about in limited because 3 life is a lot.
yeah,
You know, if you
3
can
life is a lot.
if you can double cycle in a turn, like then I'm doing both.
Yeah, turn
Obviously.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely do both then, but three life is a lot. I'm not sure what I would actually
Yeah,
pick.
turn 1 you just play the card that gets more one. Turn 1 and 2, there's a blue and a red card that get 1/1 counters whenever you discard a card. So this on
There you
3, double channel on 4,
go. Mm-hmm.
win the game.
Win the game. But yeah, it doesn't do anything by itself, although it does replace itself pretty fast. So again, this is a
Yeah.
cycling or the small amounts of other discard that we've seen. If you have a bunch of cycling, like 8 cycling cards, this is probably like a B to B plus. And if
Yeah, I
you
think
have
more like a B plus.
if you have like 3 or 4 cycling cards, this is like or and total discard cards is what I mean when I say that. This is
Yeah.
not unplayable, but it's kind of close.
Yeah.
And again, that's what makes this set hard to evaluate. Is there's so many, which is like there's so many cards that are like, well, if you're doing the other thing, it's really good. You know,
Right.
by itself, the other thing. Uh,
F. F for
Radiant
limited.
Lotus. 6-mana
Yeah.
artifact. Tap, sacrifice 1 or more artifacts. Choose a color. Target player adds 3 mana of the chosen color for each artifact that was sacrificed this way. So you can gain up to 2 mana to sack 2 artifacts. Yeah, I'm not doing that.
No.
3 mana for each artifact.
For each artifact. Yeah.
Oh, I don't even think I read that right. So, and it's 1 or more artifacts.
So if you sacrifice 3 things, it generates 9 mana.
I love the flavor text. Is after devastation, hope bloomed. So I guess there was some devastation in Aetherdrift.
Yeah, this thing is going to cause devastation in older formats.
Yeah, yeah, it is wild. It is so much mana.
It is a hilarious amount of. I mean,
So
it turns. It turns treasures into infinite mana real fast.
yeah, it's so much mana from treasures. Yeah, cool card. Lotus out of 20. $350 out of 20.
Oh.
It's currently $35 and or 230.
That one is so cool.
Or 300 or piss.
I think the piss one's pretty hot, honestly. I think this one does work with the piss.
Hot piss. Yeah. Well, we did it.
And we have all the new verges.
Yep, the new versions. So if you have a plains or swamp, then you get lights,
there is
otherwise
actually
only black.
one colorless land. This one.
But we get this one.
Yeah.
And this one, the only way to get the EA version of this is through the starting line or finish line, whatever it was called, bundle. Is the only place in any product that you can get the EA version of this. And it is a rare land that starts your engines, taps for a colorless, and at max speed taps for 2 colorless. This might be good.
Yeah.
And in different formats. I mean, it kind of reminds me of like an artifact land in the affinity decks because in older constructed formats, you want to be able to obviously use colorless mana very effectively, and the artifact affinity deck is the best at using colorless mana effectively, and they banned artifact lands from modern because of this specific effect.
They're too good.
Yeah, because they basically count for 2 mana. but you also have to do damage like kind of fast, right? Anyway, let's talk about limited here. This is probably worth playing. This is worth dropping a colored land because again, it's just starting your mana on turn 0, turn 1.
Yeah.
And then just getting basically an extra land acceleration for free. Again, probably on turn 5, so it's not like that crazy, but it could lead to like a double spell on turn 7 or something. So yeah, I think this is like a C plus. I think it's like a C plus.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a C plus.
More interesting in standard if you can do the.
That's my favorite. The red white one has my favorite art. Up. Yeah.
Yeah, that is really good art. These are all good arts. That is really good art though.
Just loot flying through all of them. Also, the EAs for these are really good.
Yeah, I imagine. Let's see what the EA for this one is. Oh, that's alternate. Oh, they don't have EAs.
Ugh. Or the alternate, sorry, the alt art.
Yes. We did it. That was a success. I don't know how long it was because nothing stopped and started. I'm an idiot. Well, yeah, this set is different. This is a different set.
This set is this set is very unique from certainly Foundations. It's like a wild set. I have no idea what to expect from it.
Yeah, it feels like they're taking a chance on it, which I think is fine because they did just give us Duskmourn, one of the greatest limited sets of all time.
Yeah.
Whose cohesion was obvious. I bet we could have done a really good review for that set.
Yeah, something tells me we did and we're excited about it.
Yeah, man, that would have been cool to upload. So yeah, this set's neat. I'm very interested to see if the limited experience can hold together with cohesion. I'll be impressed if it does. So I wouldn't say
I'll be impressed if it does, honestly.
I'm not particularly optimistic that the limited's going to be great, but it's going to be. It definitely seems wacky.
Yeah.
It definitely seems wacky.
It'll be a unique experience to be determined if that's good or bad.
Well, I think let's actually take that a step further. I think it'll be a repeat. Hopefully, it's good enough to be repeatable because I feel like the game states are just going to be weird because like cards feel like they can Yahtzee, but only in certain circumstances, right? Like the baseline power is pretty high, but then like randomly things seem like they'll pop off, and maybe even different ways in different games.
Yeah.
Which I guess that can kind of be like a race. You get like all these racers going, and sometimes you
crash.
Yeah,
which could be cool to see.
Sometimes you crash. Sometimes you just get way out ahead of the pack. Sometimes everyone's jumbled up, So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll see. All right, what are we doing next? Oh, I didn't tell you about this. We're going to do a top 5 bombs each and top 2 commons in every color.
Okay, I think that'll be easy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think it will be easy too. But yeah, we're going to do those 2 more videos. So watch those or not. Who knows? Maybe they won't be uploaded and you won't have a choice.
But actually do. Find you.
Bye.